and 2 p.m. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is expected at the ceremony to hand over tools of power, has since congratulated his successor.
As a hallmark of our democracy, therefore, I will, before God and you, my fellow countrymen, hand over the instruments of power to our new president at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. And with that, the fourth administration will come to an end and the tenure of the fifth administration will begin.
Members of the public will be seated by 8 a.m. before the start of the event at 10:30 a.m. 80,000 people, including 20 heads of state from various countries and around 2,500 VIPs, are expected to be in attendance. Here is Interior PS Karanja Kibichu speaking on the ceremony.
We will open the stadium at 4 to the public, because allowing 60,000 people who you must do security screening requires a bit of time, and expect that everyone is seated and waiting by 8 a.m. for the program that we have adjusted to start at 10:30 a.m.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga will not attend President-elect William Ruto's inauguration today at the Moi Sports Center, Kasarani. In a statement, Raila says he received an invitation but will not be available because he is out of the country. Additionally, he maintained that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission did not conduct a free and fair election. ODM Vice Chairperson Wycliffe Oparanya, on the other hand, says he will attend the inauguration ceremony. The Kenyatta National Hospital has announced that it will close its clinics today during the inauguration of President-elect William Ruto. The hospital announced the move in a short statement published on its Twitter account. The hospital has since rerouted patients to other wards. The Law Society of Kenya has urged President-elect William Ruto to prioritize the ending of extrajudicial killings in the country. The society further wants the incoming administration to support independent institutions. LSK President Eric Thauri has also urged the administration to ensure the two-thirds gender rule is applied during appointment of government offices.
We urge that the incoming administration to ensure that there is strict compliance with the two-third gender principle in the appointment of cabinet secretaries, public principal secretaries, and other public and state appointments. The Law Society also urges the incoming administration to commit to making appointments which are merit-based and reflect the face of Kenya, while upholding the constitutional principles of ethics, integrity, and good governance.
Nairobi Expressway users will now top up their cards from their houses using a USSD code. Moja Expressway said motorists can either top up via mobile banking applications or the USSD code. The operator said to top up ETC and MTC cards one can use Standard Bank Kenya, Standard Chartered Bank, NCBA app by dialing *208# or by visiting their website. The Judiciary has called for an end to attacks on the Supreme Court following the ruling on the presidential petition challenging President-elect William Ruto's win. In a statement, the Judiciary claimed that people have been paid to attack judges on social media. The Judiciary has urged Kenyans to be patient as the Supreme Court will provide the full judgment of the presidential petition in due time. That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
The following takes place between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m.
There are so many people peddling what is false and that it bears remarkable resemblance to what is true.
Politicians have their agenda, and their agenda is to use every opportunity to sell that agenda and to loot this nation.
I have seen major strides that are done in this country when we talk to each other as against talking at each other.
We start getting back into the
tribal cocoons which were put to us by the colonial powers. You know, they gave us physical freedom, but not mental freedom. We're still mentally colonized today into these cocoons of tribe.
Now, if you live in an area where it's difficult to find a dog,
He's a goat. I kid you not.
In which part of this country is it difficult to find a dog? So that you resort. Nafande hii umbo yako iko na
nini umba special.
It's Tuesday, and I was thinking that most of the traffic this morning is within the Moi International Sports Complex of Kasarani, because on other parts of the streets, not much in terms of traffic. You're going to be where you're going in a very short period of time. Where we normally see traffic on Jogo Road at this hour, it is non-existent. We're seeing nothing on the Thika Superhighway, nothing coming out of Westland. It looks like it's going to be like this for most parts of the morning. We'll be here to let you know what it looks like. It's Tuesday, it's Inauguration Day. And we'd like to see traffic pick up later on. Let you know what it looks like then. Talk to us about anything that does happen before then. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let's keep things moving this Tuesday.
.9 SpiceFM, Mombasa. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
At about 9 minutes after 6 o'clock, welcome to Tuesday. How are you doing? Good morning to you. And it's that day when all roads lead to the Moi International Sports Complex at Kasarani for the inauguration of Kenya's 5th president-elect, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. And that's what happens this morning. Kenya's biggest conversation will reflect conversations about that this morning. And yes, I'm here. The question is, where are they? But how about we have a chat between you and I this morning? How are you? Everything is all right where you are? I'm hoping that you're doing well. You can see all of you clocking in at this point. We'll say hello to you in a minute. But I just want to make sure that all is well with you this morning. It is a public holiday, but we also know that the Kasarani Sports Complex is packed to the rafters and that everybody is waiting to see what will happen. New day dawning indeed. Ndu with you. The two gentlemen are somewhere lost in translation, but you know, they'll be here in a minute. And just before they get to that, just want to say that, you know, hoping that you're having a good morning. And thank you for joining us today. We'll have a number of conversations today reflecting what will be going on, looking into what is and what will be President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. We'll do that today. With a number of people, namely Beatrice Elachi, as well as Bilo Carroll, have those conversations with us this morning. So, before that starts off, CT.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
You're fine?
Yes.
What happened?
What?
What happened?
Okay. Now, I am fine.
I said, what happened?
Ask the question again. What happened?
What happened?
When?
Just now, anytime. Before now.
Well, actually, we've just had breakfast. We've been chit-chatting.
You and the guy?
Yes. Looking at this and that.
And the other thing.
And then determining the same this and that.
No, somebody else here is dancing.
Right. This man, clearly.
I have a song.
He has a, he's an Ohangla fan because those moves he was making. Yes.
The song actually in my mind is Mukangala. Mukangala. I have no idea what it means.
I also have no idea, but that sounds
know
like a
the song.
delightful beat.
And now there's a new one that's just doing the rounds. There's a new Luya song that is the hits. Yeah, I don't remember how it goes. Yeah?
Don't worry, let's give
And
it
it's called Provider. Yeah? I can't hear you. Vida. It's called Vida. Is it Kisi or Luya? Yeah? It's Ednah. It's Ednah who's telling me it's a Luya love song. Called Vida.
Oh, it's a Luya love song.
Vida Omwana Mabere. Vida Omwana Mabere. Vida Omwana Indumbu. That is the one. Is the current hit.
Okay. Where is it hitting?
Kenya yote.
Kenya yote ni nchi ya ajabu.
Yes. Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mko salama?
Mko salama?
Yeah. Happy 13th.
Nakuga hivyo.
This is a public holiday. People have traveled from across the country. Kasarani is already half full. They say. Yeah? Kasarani is already half full. So they say that they have prepared for about... The stadium itself has a capacity of 60,000. So they have the 60,000 people, which includes 2,000 VIPs, 20 heads of state and government. Then they have overflow space in the warm-up areas, the warm-up pitches in Kasarani, which are going to hold another 30 to 40,000 people. So 100,000 people expected in Kasarani today. That's Kasarani. From there, people carrying badges, card-carrying guests go to State House for a banquet. 7,000.
My friend, that 90,000 you're talking about
will all cross over to Kasarani.
Forget crossing over. There'll be close to 200,000 people, if not more, at Kasarani.
At Kasarani.
Just start there, okay? My figures tell me, let's talk 300, okay? Because there'll be people outside. I mean, if people were in town yesterday and some are still on the way, what do you think? And as for State House, believe me, every time you have an incoming president, it's chaotic. It doesn't matter how you plan. Because remember, unakuja na kadi.
Yes.
There's a limit to how you can control the dishing out of cards, my friend. So State House, yesterday, there were queues of vehicles when we left work going to State House. I'm back asked. I told my Uber driver, see, we also just follow them and drive and figure out what's going on.
Why didn't you? Did you do that?
No, he told me, Bwana, you are to kadi. I asked him, where do we need a card? Said, no, I decided to proceed home. But that was yesterday. What do you think is happening? What do you think is happening now?
Can you imagine everybody who was now, because the setup is done today.
It's done.
So everybody who was going into State House yesterday just to do the setup and all that, many people. It's going to be a very, very busy. Your neighborhood, Leo, Amulali.
I'm going to...
Doof, my friend. Doof.
Let me tell you.
You will know you have a new neighbor. You can call the Residents Association and complain.
I don't know which cops will come and silence.
Who are you going to call when the Residents Association will be at State House?
The chairman will be
at State House.
Yes, city. Ati,
wacha nikupigie baadaye.
Kelele.
Niko ndani.
Sijasikia. Poleni bwana. Anyway, we'll be talking about what we expect today and talking about President Uhuru Kenyatta. Lovely speech that he did yesterday. But we'll talk about it. Tell us about COVID, please.
All right, let's look at global numbers of COVID at the moment. If the computer will agree, 614 million. It's interesting because we've seen a jump of about 2 million cases in the last 48 hours, 225,824. It's on the day when the Ministry of Health here in Kenya has reported on 16 new coronavirus cases from a sample size of 4,000. That now gives Kenya a positivity rate of 1.8 3% is what we're looking at now. So that is the latest number. Let's also then look at what's happening in the UK, where we are being told COVID infections in the UK have fallen to the lowest since October last year. Fewer than 1 million people have had the virus in the last week of August, about 1 in 70, down from 15 in mid-July. COVID is decreasing in England and Wales, but staying constant in Northern Ireland and Scotland. Millions of the most vulnerable are being offered their booster shots. Health experts have predicted there will be a jump in cold and flu infections in the run-up to the winter this year, and everyone who is eligible for an extra vaccine should boost their protection against both illnesses. Both illnesses being what? COVID and flu. So they've seen a decline in cases. It's been the lowest in a year, but they're going into the cold weather and they're seeing the possibility of another COVID variant. But okay, before the winters kick in, for real, get your booster shot is what they're being told. China COVID lockdowns leave residents short of food and essential items. They talked about noodles and bread just the other day. But now COVID lockdown areas where residents are complaining of shortages of food and essential items. Tens of millions of people in 30 regions have been ordered to stay under partial or full lockdowns. It's been 15 days and they say they're out of flour, rice, eggs. They've run out of milk for kids, is what they say. Authorities are scrambling to contain local outbreaks ahead of the Communist Party's Congress in October, where millions of people are moving around the country. The zero COVID policy requires strict lockdowns, even if just a handful of cases are reported. 949 new cases found around the country of 1 billion plus the other day, and they've locked the country down. And they're saying it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 9,000, we are not having this.
We are live on YouTube and Facebook. Where are you tuned in from this morning? Let us know. It's a public holiday in the Republic of Kenya, 13th day of September 2022, the day for the inauguration of the 5th administration. Let us know where you are. We'll be doing the usual, which is acknowledging your presence after we take a look at the weather forecast. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Introducing Watele, County 49, a rich county where the leadership has failed its people. Justice and peace are elusive while violence sweeps through the county. What will be done to save the people of Watele County? Watch County 49 as our heroes and villains clash in an exciting tale of corruption, greed, love, and redemption. Every week on Showmax.
Cloudy conditions at 15 in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 25 today, and we'll see highs of 23 in a cloudy Nakuru at 15. It's mostly cloudy at 13 in Nyeri, highs of 22, and 22 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Eldoret at 12. 22 and raining in Mombasa this morning, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 28 as well in a rainy Malindi at 24. 20 and mostly clear conditions in Kisumu, highs of 26, and Kakamega is clear at 16. It will go to highs of 26 and lows of 14. Mostly clear conditions at 18 in Kampala, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 30 in a mostly clear Dar es Salaam at 21. It's 9 degrees this morning in Johannesburg. It'll go to highs of 22 and lows of 8. It's raining at 25 in Lagos. See highs of 29 and lows of 24. It's 24 and there's a haze over Kinshasa, highs of 32 and lows of 22. Looking out into Beijing, it's 28 degrees and sunny afternoon Tuesday. We'll see highs of 31. 19 degrees and rainy in Paris, highs of 26 and highs of 20 in a cloudy London at 19. It's clear and it's cloudy at 23 in New York still Monday night. Coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 27 and lows of 22.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
20 after 6. Good morning.
Everybody's up.
Mornings done right. 94.4.
Tune in from Gashie, and today's proverb is, according to him, no matter how hot your anger, it cannot cook yam. Okay. Maretta Shedrack says, I swear to serve the people of Kenya with dignity, so help me God. Okay. Jonathan Yinya is available. Let's just keep it like that. Newton says, good morning, my big team, tuned in from Ruai, Utawala. Good morning, 254. Kisumu is locked, loud and clear. Glad to be stepping onto grace in the fifth regime, hoping for better days ahead, according to Atieno. And Willie says he's tuned in from Birunda. Tuning from Lavington, new day dawning. Andrew Franklin. Well, let's see. Sheikh Smiti Baridi says, good morning. Your voice is crystal clear from County 003. Good morning, Studio Narok East is tuned in. Diana Mburu celebrating her birthday and says it's a double blessing.
Happy birthday,
the fifth
Diana
president is
Mburu.
being sworn in. Happy birthday to you. Amos Freeman says, good morning. Tune in from Kimilili, loud and clear. Elizabeth is tickled by your chuckles this morning. She says, keep it up. Keep chuckling. If a woodchuck would chuck. Okay. Abbas Juguna is a bit upset that Raila Odinga, is a bit sour. And he says, why is he so bitter? Okay. Robert Tubogo is tuning from Mombasa. Hello. Zeresh Muyama says, good morning, tuned in from Alaska. Chapati na nyama is ready, waiting to celebrate. Okay, that's the thing, eh? It's a food of celebration. Chapati.
Both
And the nyama.
Chapati celebratory, nyama celebratory.
Voilà.
Mboga ya kunde kawaida. Mchicha kawaida. Cabbage kawaida.
But chapati and nyama is eaten on the day of a celebration.
Yes, now if you're really celebrating, it's chapati na kuku.
Kwanza ni kuku. Uko masaa.
Okay. Sawa basi.
Tena kuku native ile ambayo inaitwa roadrunner ambayo inajua kukimbia with long limbs. Very good.
Very good, eh?
Yes.
Ile umechemsha na hiyo ngozi imechemuka kabisa.
Yes. You've got it. Yes.
I got it. Okay. Who else is online this morning? Jean-Pierre Huamebach says, good morning. Tuning from Kitengela. He's waiting for CT's probably like this. Benson Muma says, good morning. 96.7. And Milton Rogers is tuned in. CT looks like that IEBC guy, Nyangaya or Nyangao. The opaque. Hey.
The opaque commissioner.
Good Lord.
So now becomes CT the opaque. Or is it CT the opaque Nyangaya?
The opaque Nyangao.
You and Nyangaya have a lot of opaqueness.
Okay, Mwaura, remember that Mount Kenya is preserved as a holy shrine. Okay, that's a message to Ruta from Mwaura. Okay, I will be tuned in faithfully, Zach Campbell says. Okay, there's a long message from here, James John, but okay, we see you, man. Good morning. Dennis Sigay says, good morning. MCR, Kariha. You've named yourself twice. It's okay, thrice even. Victor Apollo says, good morning from Nandi. Pigeon Voyager, good morning. Odua says good morning. Newton is up and awake and ready to go. We see all of you. Asante Sana. Ooh, the screen has done the thing. Thank you for joining us. There's a cockerel there and says good morning. Atuti Dan says good morning, tuning from Homa Bay. Another monumental day in the history of this country as we usher in a new government. We hope it will solve the challenges facing the common Wananchi. And there's a good note to add. Good morning and thank you for joining us today.
Karibu sana kila mtu. City. Yesterday was the final day in Chad.
No, I decided today is going to be the final day.
Okay.
Just finality.
You've extended.
Finality.
One has to be definitive. This matter of opaqueness.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
I cannot be referred to as being vague. I'm being definitive here.
All right.
Right. Now, this particular proverb I found particularly interesting, even tickling. It is what Kenyans would refer to as an obviosity. If you always walk down the same path, you will go where you've been before.
Ati?
You think?
If you
do what?
Let me repeat it. If you always walk down the same path, you will go where you've been before. See, I told you it was a lovely proverb.
Nothing gets past these Chadians, does it?
I must visit this country. Just when you thought that you'd had an obvious proverb, they come with an even more obvious one.
If you put something in your mouth, you will swallow.
Yes.
But
if you're accustomed to swallowing, every time you have something. Right.
You agree, don't you? www.standardmedia.co.ke. And then if you buy the paper, go just look through the pages. You will find a QR code. Scan that QR code, because what we are trying to do, not what we are trying to do, what we are doing at the Standard is rewarding our readers. So you stand a chance of winning some goodies. Goodies include shopping voucher. Goodies include cash voucher. Goodies include branded merchandise. Just buy your copy of the Standard newspaper today. There's a 24-page pullout on the intrigues, milestones towards the 5th presidency, giving you the story of William Kipchirchir Samoei Arap Ruto, his journey to the top seat that he's going to be occupying from today. A lovely pullout. In fact, it's a big one. Lovely pullout. Look at it with a photo of Ruto and Gachagua. This is our promise to you, talking about the promises that they've made, and then it gives you everything about them. It's a nice souvenir copy to keep. And then, just like City tells us, I was there when Uhuru was given to us at Uhuru Gardens.
When we went to partake of
when we went to receive Uhuru at Uhuru Gardens. You'll be showing your grandchildren the photo, the pullout. You see this one? I was on this day. We woke up very early on this day. Yeah. There was a radio station called Spice. You see this one called Spice today? It was Spice even then. Yeah. You'll be doing that. Okay. So what's on the front pages of the papers?
Well, the front page of the Standard today, there's a picture of a handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and President-elect William Ruto. President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday said he will honor the Kenyan tradition and hand over power, which will herald the beginning of the 5th government led by William Ruto. The challenges are myriad, the expectations high. The work is cut out for the new administration. And we'll look at the key issues in just a second. But the Daily Nation also talks about special inauguration coverage that will go from page 2 to 10 and then 12 and 14. Ruto the man, from the cattle fields of Sugoi to the lush gardens of State House. The William Ruto story.
10. Yes. Did your guy do like that? Ama he's on holiday. He's in Kasarani.
Your guy is Kasarani, eh?
You know
Kasarani is better business than waiting for City to come.
You and there
just
are
go with your
100,000 people there waiting.
Kasarani, and then you have this pull out of the Standard.
Kila mtu.
I am not his only client. Please.
His other clients are on holiday today. He knows that.
He knows that
the only guy who will come and buy the paper today on a public holiday.
I wondered why the road was so empty. There are no vehicles, actually.
CT, welcome to the party.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so look at the myriad of issues.
So the myriad of issues. Number one, President Kenyatta yesterday outlined the achievements of his rule, thanking his cabinet and officials. We heard that. Incoming President Ruto has to devise ingenious ways to bring down the cost of living. So there are many things people are already saying, hey, wait a minute. Unga. Mafuta.
Tomorrow is 14th.
Sherehe mukona kumbukeni to midnight. Please, we need something. Bring down the cost of food, bring down the cost of fuel, which affects so many other things. We are waiting. Third, the short rains are here. There is a drought in the country as we speak, by the way. Did you guys remember that the drought is still ongoing, even with the short rains? These things are still an issue. Farmers are yet to get cheap farming inputs to ease the food crisis. Bring down the cost of fertilizer has been a clarion call forever. The economy is on its knees as we speak and requires emergency measures to revive it, with donors wary of subsidy programs. We also saw, wait a minute. We're likely to see that the subsidies as a requirement by the World Bank and other financing institutions said this subsidy program, it cannot work for you people. So we're looking at an end to those. Yes, now, that's one of the things that they said when they were giving you this assistance. This is your subsidy that you're subsidying all the time. It can subsidy no more. So,
but how many subsidies do we have even? We don't have any subsidy right now. Only the fertilizer thing, which is not on. Fuel is not a subsidy. Fuel is a tax kitty.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they keep calling it a subsidy, and
It's a levy.
Yes, it's paid for.
Paid for?
Yes,
But there's still argument that that should also be removed and let market forces. I don't even know
Let
how
the
market
market
forces.
fight.
I don't know.
Let the market
There's no
duke
market
it out
fighting.
and we figure it out.
Unless you say even remove the price control, the price capping, which would be madness.
It would be crazy. There's nothing, if you ask me, there's absolutely nothing wrong. Government getting assistance or otherwise, there's nothing wrong with, putting in money to save your people from having to spend so much.
But then if you went to Sri Lanka and told the former president, there's nothing wrong with tax cuts and subsidies.
Where?
Okay, so let me continue these issues. The president promised to relook at education curriculum. Stakeholders are waiting with bated breath because they're like, okay, hold on. Are they going to scrap this thing that we've worked on for the last 3.5 years, 4 years? All the work that we've done is going to be chucked out the window? They're waiting because those things now, they have to start looking at them. Children are writing exams, Abi. The competitive election split the country in two, and national unity is key for economic growth, which is true. It is not possible to grow a country that is divided. So unifying a country is probably ahead of this unga that you're looking for to come down. The price of fuel is expected to go up tomorrow unless the new government extends the fuel subsidy. And we're likely looking at CT. There's something you've said, and I think you might be a bit of a clairvoyant. You said, look, this thing, let it even go to 200 shillings. It will go to 200 shillings. It's likely that it will.
It's not a question of being a clairvoyant. It's just a question of looking at trends and seeing them for what they are.
That's what a clairvoyant does now, Abi.
Just like this super freeway. Okay?
It's called an expressway.
Sorry.
It's not free.
It is a beautiful thing to ride on. Okay? But the stories we kept being told about this day, another, this day, another. It makes a lot of sense if I live, say somewhere in Marsabit. I believe everything they say. But I'm on this road every single day.
You can see.
I can see. So when someone tells me they'll finish at the end of the month, you know very well that can't happen.
Indeed. So here we are. And so those are the issues. So, I mean, there is a lot of work to be done, but today is the day when President-elect William Ruto will be inaugurated at Kasarani and be handed over the instruments of power to be able to start this work. So he's going to be met with a full plate. His in-tray is already brimming. And it was interesting to see then that Uhuru congratulated Ruto. If I can look at that story really quickly, or you want to go to break? You said yes break. Twice. Okay, so
27 minutes to 7 a.m. Ndu wants to look at something quickly, but before she does that, she'll look at traffic and tell us how the roads are looking like as you head towards the Kasarani Moi International Sports Complex, where everybody's heading there. Have you seen the photos? Way. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I know the sun is out in Nairobi at least. As you tembea, be careful. Manchester United are trying to sign anyone. Watch out where your children are. Please hide yourselves.
Sugar and spice!
I reached a point where suicide things were just going south completely. Something stopped me.
Sugar and spice, or sugar, spice.
When you think about education hubs, Japan has long been at the list of preferred destinations to provide world-class programs. The Study in Japan Global Network Project and Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology in Japan are hosting an online event for students and professionals looking to further their education and join master's and PhD programs in social sciences such as internal public policy and conflict studies, economics and management, and sciences such as information technology, environmental sciences, biomedical science, agriculture, engineering, and veterinary medicine. Join the Study in Japan online fair for Sub-Saharan Africa 2022 on the 30th of September and on the 1st of October by registering on 2022.studyinjapan-africa-portal.com. Don't miss out.
It doesn't look like it's going to be an issue to contend with today. Looking at most of these Nairobi streets, traffic is a non-issue. This morning, you should be all right going from Mombasa Road to Westlands. And you don't have to use the expressway. Okay, so not really much happening on the roads this morning. I think all roads at this point leading to and from the Moi International Sports Complex, Kasarani. A little bit of traffic outbound on Jogo Road. Who knows where who's going? But apart from that, it doesn't look too bad. It looks like it'll be that way for most of today. Let's just talk. Just in case anything does go out of whack, talk to us. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, and let's keep things moving this morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Okay, so it was interesting because I think many had waited for this speech from President Uhuru Kenyatta, and it seemed that it happened yesterday. Uhuru says transition process climaxes with Ruto's inauguration as the 5th president. The outgoing president says his administration has transformed the education sector and infrastructure. President Uhuru Kenyatta met his successor William Ruto at State House, Nairobi yesterday, which he described as the final step in the transition process that began on the 12th of August. In a televised farewell speech after the meeting, Uhuru officially congratulated Ruto, a message that has been long in coming. Previous presidents had congratulated their predecessors almost immediately after they were declared victors, and I quote, "My entire family and I join all Kenyans in wishing the very best to our next president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and in extending to him our warmest congratulations for receiving the mandate of Kenyans to lead us as our next president." The president-elect said his wife Rachel Ruto arrived at State House some minutes past 4 and were received by President Kenyatta and First Lady Margaret before holding a closed-door meeting. This was the first time in months that Ruto had been to State House. The last time he was at the president's official residence, at least officially, was in May when he attended a cabinet meeting. Last week, during a meeting held with lawmakers under the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition party, Uhuru said his preferred successor, Raila Odinga, was his leader. Despite their perceived bad blood, the president said that the transition process climaxes with Ruto's inauguration as the 5th president today. The doors of State House and the office of the president have been open to the technical team from the office of the president-elect so as to facilitate a smooth transition handover of power, Uhuru said, describing the inauguration as a moment for Kenyans to come together as one people to pursue the promise of Kenya as destined by God. As the hallmark of our democracy, I will tomorrow, therefore, before God and you, my fellow countrymen, hand over the instruments of power to our new president, and with that, the 4th administration will come to an end, and the tenure of the 5th administration will begin. He urged Ruto to work on uniting the country. Mr. President-elect, as you walk the path to your inauguration and beyond, you will be the president, not just for those who voted for you, but for all Kenyans. He used the opportunity to spell out his legacy, which he said he had built on legacies of his predecessors.
I think it was a lovely speech. It was a good speech. It was one of those, it's what we've been waiting for. You know, the president to come out and say, so this is what we are. I'm representing an institution. I'm representing a tradition that we are building and creating. And this is a journey. There's going to be a new president. Acknowledge the new president. Thank the people for the opportunity to lead. Take stock of what you've done. And then say goodbye and thank you. It was a good one. The question is, was it coming a bit late in the day? Was it the perfect timing? You mean on the day? Did we expect Uhuru, for example, to call Ruto and the next First Lady, Rachel, to State House last week when there are things are still there? You know, kuna uwezi waonyesha bathroom, kuna vitu.
Did it work yesterday?
Yeah.
Then voila.
Remember, there's a committee that determines these processes. It's not as though someone wakes up and says, Dani, si ukuja leo. Unafanya nini sahi?
Kuna kachai imebaki, wacha tumalize.
No. Kuja kabla hawajamaliza mandazi. None of that stuff. If you want to understand the growth process of our democracy that we keep speaking of, it's in these little things. You see a hiccup, it's a hiccup. The eventuality is when you say, okay, so here we are. You see, I have just one narrative on this particular subject, the people of Kenya. These leaders should respect us. These leaders should understand where they are bosses, because we are the ones who have behaved well. Leaders will want to take credit for it. Let them. Our freedoms allow for people to do such things. But it is the people of Kenya who have maintained the peace. It is the people of Kenya who have decided they are going to move in the direction that they are moving. Once again, credit to the people of Kenya and for their maturity in understanding not just the precepts of change, but in understanding that actually this is their country. And that when you have a new leader, it is everybody's leader. You may not have voted for him, you may not even like the person, but that is your leader. And people say, okay, fine. The language is, we move on. Yes. You've come to terms with it. You're still coming to terms with it. You may not come to terms with it. You don't want to come to terms with it. But
you move on.
But you move on. The era the new era is upon us. Yes.
I think so. And just like Anthony from Kisumu called and said yesterday, but you see, look at the entire country. Throughout voting, counting, declarations, Supreme Court, judgment, up to now, there's been this one united feeling of, all right, so we have participated, we've done what we've done, we are moving on, we expect the new administration, whoever it is you come in, you are going to deliver. And we all now shifting our focus into, okay, can you now deliver on what you promised? A good thing, City, like you've said. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. The body language of the president and the president-elect yesterday, there are people who are reading into that and saying, look at these two people. These ones. You saw Babu Owino and the other saying, the way these guys are behaving, it's like they were playing a game all along.
You know, Eric, the thing about the freedoms is precisely that. You've actually encapsulated it. Babu Owino and co are allowed to have their opinion. All right? An election and the outcomes, my friend, the interpretations and the way people view it, the culmination of a ruling by the Supreme Court, people will have a diversity of views. That is now democracy being put into practice. People expressing their views. It may have absolutely nothing to do with the truth, but they have expressed their views. See, in my opinion, these freedoms are best manifested. Just listen to what people said in the campaign trail. They expressed their views. Some call it a manifesto. Okay? Their views. This is what anticipatory. Some called it a charter. Okay? Man, we moved on. We went to the Supreme Court. They also gave us their views. Now, that we can entertain and we can accommodate this diversity of views, even when the competition was hot, to the point where we get to the Supreme Court. And we are still expressing our views on the views that the Supreme Court expressed. My friend, this democracy is moving on really well. It's moving on well.
That's true. That's very true. And it's moving on so well that the IEBC deputy CEO has been told to show cause. In the spirit of democracy. The crackdown of senior electoral commission staff who facilitated...
Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Nitakula nyama.
Yes, na chapati.
Nitakula nyama. Kiona mtu anakohoa. Nitakula nyama. The staff who facilitated or aided the operations of the Cherera 4 who disputed the presidential election declaration has commenced in earnest. Ruth Kulundu, the IEBC deputy CEO in charge of operations, had until last evening to respond to a show cause notice issued to her over alleged incorrigible demeanor and outright misconduct in the past weeks. Incorrigible what? Demeanor. The show cause letter was issued to her on Monday, August 29th, by her boss, CEO Marjan Hussein Marjan. At the time, the Supreme Court had not issued its final decision on the presidential election petition challenging the Commission's declaration of Ruto as the winner. Marjani is accusing her of, among other things, convening a commission plenary meeting on the 26th of August without his approval or his delegation. Insider says during this particular plenary meeting that was attended by the 4 commissioners who had opposed their chairman, Chebukati's official declaration of the presidential election that later played out at the Supreme Court hearings when a different set of lawyers led by Paul Muite and Issa Mansour, instructed by that plenary, turning up at the court to represent the 4. Professor Githu Muigai, who was representing the chairman, objected, saying no public procurement had been undertaken in this recruitment. Of course, we know what the judges said. The judges said, we are not the ones who are going to hire lawyers for the commission. So all of you represent the commission. You represent the commission. You come together. All of you come. You represent the commission however you want to represent it. Through Kulundu's facilitation, it is implied in the show cause letter the commissioners purported to make decisions on behalf of the commission relating to its position on the Supreme Court proceedings which were ongoing. Here's what the letter said. You impersonated the CEO and usurped his responsibilities as you purported to perform his duties without his authority or delegation. Moreover, plenary meeting number 279 had already been held, thus voiding the other meeting of August 26th, where you were secretary, rendering it illegal. In the letter, Marjan informs his deputy that the IEBC Act is clear that the CEO shall be the secretary at all meetings of the commission. He said this amounted to insubordination and a serious breach of her employment contract. Well, that is charge number 1. Charge number 2. Marjan is accusing his deputy of threatening and intimidating junior staff. In particular, he is accusing her of attacking, insulting, and threatening acting director of voter registration and operations Moses Sunkuli, and in effect arousing in him a sense of fear and insecurity in his life. It is a gross misconduct to use threats and intimidation or behave in a manner likely to cause a breach of the peace as stipulated under the Commission Human Resource and Administration Policies and Procedures Manual.
Eric, can I ask a question?
Ask.
Are you reading a script from County 49 or are you actually reading something that is reported in the newspaper?
It is in the paper, written by Nzao Musau. Big story. A show cause letter has been issued to the IEBC deputy CEO.
Good.
And the CEO is saying, look, you convened a plenary of the commission.
And
I am the secretary of the commission. I had not delegated this authority to you. And on whose authority were you convening a meeting?
Let the games begin.
In whose authority were you acting as secretary to that meeting?
As who?
Whomst are you?
You know.
Whose were you?
All right.
How are you?
All right, and where are you?
Yes.
This is what we're about to figure out, isn't it?
Yes.
I take it that there'll be a response.
One would hope.
Yes.
Is it not that the time is lapsing?
Show cause.
That's
Show
why,
cause gives you time.
So you show cause by also
It was
responding.
until last evening.
Bas. So today might be a bit tricky because, you know, there are things happening. So at least by this time tomorrow.
IEBC is not conducting the inauguration.
But it's a public holiday.
Yeah, but last evening was not a public holiday.
Also, it would have been by last evening.
Yes.
But we do not know if there was a response given by last evening.
So we will know.
We will just know. Yeah.
In due course, we will know.
Yes.
And if there's anything else that will happen,
we will also know.
We will also know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. We've seen these show causes before.
Haven't we just? You know, a little flexing of muscles every now and then, a little evening the score every now and then, you know, it's to be expected.
Well, Kabisa.
Isn't it now?
How on earth are we supposed to know how these people are supposed to function? Now they're trying to tell us this is how we're supposed
No, please.
Nope.
Bus. Oh, yeah.
Right. As in myself?
Yes.
Okay. There was an article I was looking at, and I found it particularly interesting. Yes, page 18
of
Standard.
Okay.
See, of the newspaper. Call the Standard. Eric, even you and your questions. From Jomo-nomics to Ruto-nomics. How leaders have run the country. It's the headline that caught my attention.
Page 18 of the Standard.
Yes, New Dawn.
The pull-out. Oh, because up on the page 18 of the Standard, it's editorial.
Pay attention.
Sawa.
Page 18, New Dawn.
Okay.
Otherwise known as pull out.
Sawa.
Okay? Right. From Jomonomics to Rutonomics. Okay? It's an article written by XN Iraqi. Okay? What caught my attention, as I had said earlier, was just the headline and the details of what it is that this particular professor, who is a professor of this same subject called economics, has to say on what has been happening to us, how the country has been run, how the economy has been run, and how it is anticipated the new president will run. Now, the economists will have their day, and they always explain these things to us. But if these explanations do not result in the lives of Kenyans changing for the better, people being able to afford a living, then this is an academic subject, and it doesn't go beyond that. I am saying this. A new dawn ought to mean that new things will come into being. Those who study economics and understand these things well, can you simplify these things for us into packages and into units that can actually be utilized on a day-to-day basis so that our lives are better? Okay?
To bite size.
Bite size, yes.
So we can get it.
So that when I know, on Monday, if I take economic theory YWX and I put it into practice, my life will be better. And if I continue doing that, by the end of the week, I have a week's betterness in my life. That sort of thing. Because the study of economics is really a subject of how to divvy out what is available within the economy. That's really what it's about. This is what we have. Now, given that we have so many rich people, it means there must be plenty somewhere. Otherwise, everybody would be poor. Okay? But that's not the case. So, can you tell us how it is we can actually get to move in the direction that will bring about change? We've been this miasma for the last God knows when. This goes up, this doesn't go up, you promise this, it doesn't work, the millers say this, God knows who says the other. Now, please, just simple. Our needs are not complicated. Children go to school, folks can afford what? Fees. When you go to buy things, because there's no supermarket for the poor and the rich, same supermarket, can we then have prices of things controlled? Manage this agricultural thingy big, okay? Just so that we understand how this thing is being worked on. This thing called fuel, which now determines the cost and price of everything. Just tell us, this money we keep paying you because we pay you. It's not a subsidy. We give you the money to do these things. Make it affordable. Then when we find our lives are affordable, the peace we've afforded you as leaders to rule will even be greater.
Indeed.
Because we will not even be pitching a fit, because we will be happy. Now, so economics is good as an academic subject. But please, package it so that the Mwananchi can understand how economics helps their lives become better.
True that. Talking of economics, Treasury CBK succession races heat up as Ruto takes over. Naming the National Treasury CS is among... Excuse me.
Bless you.
What is happening?
Alpha.
No. He was going to eat meat today.
Towards that, but
now, you see now what has happened? It's a whole chunk. It's not just like a piece, it's a chunk. At this rate, the guy's going to have the whole animal. Carry on.
Naming the National Treasury CS is among the first critical decision that President-elect William Ruto will make after being sworn in today. As a race to select successors to CBK Governor Patrick Njoroge and his deputy Sheila Mtombejiwe, whose terms end in June next year, intensifies, a former banker in one of Kenya's largest commercial lenders is believed to be among the frontrunners for the CBK job. A former banker in one of Kenya's largest commercial lenders. How many large commercial lenders do we have in this country? KCB, Equity, who else? Cooperative. Which has her former banker? All of them have former bankers, okay?
All of them have former bankers. But former is...
Immediate former.
Immediate former meaning in recent living memory. Yes. It can only be...
It can only be one. Because the other one is going to Africa. The former banker of ABSA is going to an Africa-wide portfolio.
It can only
Jeremy Awori. So the other one... Former CBK and Treasury officials told the Standard yesterday that the new Treasury boss will require long-term experience to effectively steer an economy battered by the COVID-19 pandemic, rising food and fuel prices, fueled by the war in Ukraine, the worst drought in 4 decades, and soaring public debt. Yeah. All those things that we know. So outgoing Treasury CS, Ukur Yatani's successor, must be a thrifty diplomat He comes into office at a time that the incoming administration faces significant public pressure to ease some of the taxes and expand social spending while limiting fresh public borrowing amid huge debt repayment obligations. Hey, it's a lot, my friend.
Why don't they just bring in Brother Rotich and bring in Kamau Thuge back in?
And then?
See, these were eminent people who understood how to run that particular ministry. If you have Waluke,
so they come and continue borrowing the way they were borrowing?
No. If Waluke, who is a convict,
is elected to member of
yes,
parliament.
You have somebody who has a case for shooting somebody in the head in front of witnesses. They've been elected. These guys have a case in court. It's allegations.
And there's been no determination of the case. There's been no sentence ruling.
Yes.
You might as well. They'll be in good company.
Look, let's start. Kamau Thuge had a sterling reputation. This is something that he understood and knew. One Mr. Rotich also had a whole history.
Yes.
Bring them back so that they can work. That supposed allegation which has caused a blot is just that. Until proven.
It's just a blot.
Yes.
So in the same breath, why not retain the ones that are there?
My friend, you have understood the concept fully, precisely. But are they going to put forward this urgent need to bring in Rutonomics?
Who, the ones that are there?
Yes.
Yeah, just go with the government of the day.
Not the way you want.
The PS is...
No, they'll have a hangover of whoever it was who appointed them before.
The PS is just...
Brother, new broom, sweep clean. That one.
In that case, though, so why bring Uhuru people into Rutonomics?
You see, the point I'm trying to make is
Thuge and Rotich are Uhuru people.
Thuge and
just
Rotich,
as much as Ukuriatani and Dr. What's his name? Muya are Uhuru people.
Okay, just follow my argument slowly.
Okay. Argument number one.
Ruto, yes, may have his people.
Yes.
But Thuge and Rotich were Uhurutu people. Please remember when they were in position. The marriage was still strong. Okay? There was no fallout. There was nothing going on.
Right.
So as to who was whose person, I'm not really sure. They were Uhurutu people. Okay? But they also were people who understood what they were doing. This is the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying these ones, of course they did. If you can borrow the way they borrowed, you must know what you're doing. Chief, what's the matter with you? Don't you understand things?
Okay, so in the same breath, Professor Jogona Ndongo, who was the former CBK governor, could also then come back and take over from Dr. Njoroge.
Yes. I think you've gotten my point. You've gotten my point. We don't have a shortage of capable people.
Professor Jogona Ndongo was a former CBK governor, and it's said that he was seen among the people in the circles that were advising the Ruto campaign. So if Njoroge is leaving, Ndongo can come back as well.
My friend, when
anybody can come
when Mwai Kibaki became president, he resuscitated people who have been in government and had been forgotten. And they came back. And I dare say they did a sterling job. Okay, so this thing about new broom, clean sweep, what have you, old broom also.
Can clean sweep.
Can also sweep clean,
in fact,
clean sweep.
People will say you don't throw away the old broom.
No, you don't. It knows corners that the new broom won't know.
Knows better.
There's that saying, yes.
Okay. Coming to the top of the hour, we'll talk about what else is in the papers shortly in the next hour. Not this weekend. 25th is when? Is how many weekends from today? From
the next one. See, inakuja.
The other one. Next weekend.
Weekend after next is usually what they would say.
Not weekend but one.
Okay,
next weekend but one.
Okay. This weekend but one. Anyway.
We're all heading to the Nairobi racecourse for the 50th edition of the African Concours d'Elegance.
Tunaenda?
Si ndio?
Who do you think is sponsoring it?
I'm just making sure.
Sisi.
That's a panga level.
We've been talking about this thing all this time.
I'm just making sure. Maybe it's two of you that I'm here with. I'm making sure.
Have you ever been somewhere where we've gone and we have not been there?
Explain this to us. We've actually gone there, but when you look, we are not there, and yet we've gone there.
Surely. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is Newswire. I am Stephanie Wangari. The National Police Service has requested the public to make alternative arrangements to view President-elect William Ruto's inauguration proceedings. In a statement, the police say that by 5 a.m. today, the Kasarani Sports Stadium was filled to capacity ahead of the inauguration. According to the Constitution, Ruto will be sworn in between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Members of the public will be seated by 8 a.m. before the start of the event at 10:30 a.m. Interior PS Karanja Kibichu says 20 heads of state from various countries and around 2,500 VIPs are expected to be in attendance.
We will open this stadium at 4 to the public because allowing 60,000 people who you must do security screening requires a bit of time, and expect that everyone is seated and waiting by 8 a.m. for the program that we have adjusted to start at 10:30 a.m.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga will not attend President-elect William Ruto's inauguration today at the Moi Sports Centre, Kasarani. In a statement, Raila says he received an invitation but was not available because he is out of the country. Additionally, he maintained that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission did not conduct a free and fair election. ODM Vice Chairperson Wycliffe Oparanya, however, says he will attend the inauguration ceremony. On the other hand, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is expected at the ceremony to hand over tools of power, has since congratulated his successor.
As a hallmark of our democracy, therefore, I will, before God and you, my fellow countrymen, hand over the instruments of power to our new president at the Moi International Sports Centre, Kasarani. And with that, the fourth administration will come to an end and the tenure of the fifth administration will begin.
At the same time, outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday evening bid farewell to State House staff ahead of handing over power to his successor, President-elect William Ruto. President Kenyatta was accompanied by First Lady Margaret Kenyatta as they said their goodbyes to the State House Kenya leadership team led by Comptroller Kinothia Mbugua. During the meeting attended by Head of Public Service Joseph Kinyua, the outgoing Head of State thanked the officers for distinguished service during his tenure and advised them to serve the new administration with the same enthusiasm. Detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission have arrested a senior officer working with the Nairobi Metropolitan Services for allegedly soliciting a 400,000 shillings bribe. Daniel Omido, an administrative officer for health, is alleged to have demanded a bribe of 400,000 shillings in order to approve online applications relating to testing and issuance of certificates to food handlers within the Nairobi metropolitan area. According to the anti-graft body, Omido was arrested following a complaint from the owner of a company identified as Quality Plus Laboratory and Consultancy Services. The Kenyatta National Hospital has announced that it will close all its clinics today during the inauguration of President-elect William Ruto. The hospital announced the move in a short statement published on its Twitter account. The hospital has since rerouted patients to other wards. The Law Society of Kenya has urged President-elect William Ruto to prioritize the ending of extrajudicial killings in the country. The society further wants the incoming administration to support independent institutions. LSK President Eric Thauri has also urged the administration to ensure the two-thirds gender rule is applied during appointments to government offices.
We urge that the incoming administration to ensure that there is strict compliance with the two-third gender principle in the appointment of cabinet secretaries, public principal secretaries, and other public and state appointments. The Law Society also urges the incoming administration to commit to making appointments which are merit-based and reflect the face of Kenya while upholding the constitutional principles of ethics, integrity, and good governance.
That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
SpiceFM Nakuru.
Okay, so the traffic situation looks like it's going to remain just like that this morning. It's not going to be too much on the roads. Actually, probably not at all. CT is going to get from here to home in like 3 minutes, and he's not even going to have to use the expressway. That's what it looks like on the roads this morning. Eric, with his walkabouts, might go somewhere else, decide, there's no traffic today. Let's go to a tok, and then be back home by, 11:35. Anyway, the roads are not looking too bad at all. A little bit of action in the CBD. It's not crazy. We'll probably see some outbound traffic on the Thika Superhighway going towards the sports complex at Kasarani because of the inauguration. But that's about it. Yeah. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
13th day of September,
This
2022, big day for Kenya, as we usher in the fourth administration. Fifth administration. Usher out the fourth. Okay. Sawa. Sawa. Hey, we are seeing footage from the KTN News. Kasarani is full.
Yeah.
Imeja. And then now they are showing us they have gone to visit Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua at his current home. I don't know. He hasn't moved into his residence, obviously. At his current home. And he's already exercising. He's just doing the morning exercise before he goes into take over the power. First time when somebody has been a deputy president and attempts to be president and gets it the first time. Somebody has been an MP for a single term, once it goes into being running mate and gets it the first time. First times for many things.
It's a good thing though. All these things, if you look at them, if you are a crystal ball gazer rather, you will say the stars have aligned themselves in his favor.
In his favor? Yeah.
Take this position, take this position, take this position, and each position works for you.
Yeah.
Yes. We pray that they keep and they stay aligned.
True. True. So, tell us the day's proverb.
Okay. If you always walk down the same path, you will go where you've always been.
Yes.
If you always walk down the same path, you go where you've always been. That's profound, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yes, in its simplicity.
The depth of it is astounding, even as simple as it is.
Hey, big time.
Indeed, big time.
It's so big that Kenya's reserves of foreign currencies have continued to decline, raising fears that the country might find itself in a financial crisis like the one facing Sri Lanka. As of September 8th, Kenya's foreign exchange reserves had reduced to 881 billion shillings. That's enough to cover the country's imports for 4.19 months. This is below the EAC convergence criteria of 4.5 months of import cover, signaling the difficulty for Kenya to service external debts and buy goods and services such as petroleum products, wheat, fertilizer, machinery, drugs from the global market. Kenya's forex reserves sit pretty now, but the next 2 years should be quite pivotal in light of the outsized external debt repayment in 2024. Should the buffers get depleted, say diaspora remittances dry up, and the external borrowing window closes up, Kenya will be really, really, really vulnerable, said Churchill Ogutu, an economist. We're already grappling with a shortage of dollars owing to global conditions such as the war in Ukraine, which has contributed to an increase in prices of items such as fuel, wheat, and fertilizer. Forex reserves are assets held on reserve by a central bank in foreign currencies. They are used to back liabilities such as paying for imported goods and services as well as debt repayment. So our reserves have gone below the EAC level of 4.5 months. We are at 4.19 months. And they're going down. And people are still talking about shortages in dollars, especially the big importers, people in the oil industry and people who import raw material for production. They say when you're looking for dollars to make your payments, you actually have to really, really struggle. And there's a thriving black market as well, where the interbank rate could be 118 to 120, but people are actually buying dollars at 124 to 126.
God. What is it now? Kenya shilling 120?
Let's round it off to 30, shall we?
Yeah.
It's called market forces.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You know, the understanding of all these things can actually be simplified. We can explain Ukraine until we are whatever colors we can become when we are frustrated. But the truth of the matter is this, that Kenyans can actually be able to eat food that they can afford doesn't require a war to be able to explain why we're not affording it. Simply because we are a country that actually not has the capacity, we actually produce food. The management of this particular sector raises many questions more than it provides answers. There is no reason why we should not be able to feed ourselves well. At the height of its problems, at the height of the instability that Uganda had under the rule of Idi Amin, they could feed themselves.
Yes.
Despite everything that was happening, they could feed themselves. People keep talking about Zimbabwe and the rising cost of living in Zimbabwe. Ask the question, are the Zimbabweans able to feed themselves?
They were.
Yep.
Precisely. So,
and
yet, their currency has done a thing. Hasn't it just?
Hasn't it just done a thing? Yes,
it's done a flip, it's done a flop, it's done a tumble turn, it's taken a dive. But there are things that one shouldn't look for external reasons to provide ample excuses to justify the position that we are in. And this is one of them.
Indeed it is. Okay, so I want to tell you a bit of a sad story taking place. I know you can see the fellas jumping up and down at Kasarani, getting their...
soldiers are warming up.
Yeah, the soldiers are warming up.
No, this is getting your blood to flow, man. It's a cold morning.
It's a bit chilly out here, and it's interesting to see that folks... Well, first of all, can we look at that Kasarani's packed to the rafters?
Where?
And...
what time is the event supposed to start?
10 o'clock?
Officially, between 10 and 2.
Yeah. Well, it will end. It would have ended by 2, so it should start between. It should start at 10. That's the official time that has been given. So it's good to see the soldiers then warming up. They've got to be, at their best today, and they're going to be all around the stadium. But now, just keeping blood flowing, I guess, is fun to see, fun to watch. All the security forces are out there this morning, and they've been there for some time. I mean, it's interesting to note that, it would be that they would be there to provide security around the inauguration. But they're also providing security for the thousands of people who've been there all night, from what we've been told. People who arrived in Nairobi last night and said, no, not to bother getting into any kind of accommodation, but just going to go right and sit into, the bleachers at the stadium. And that's exactly what they've done. So it's interesting to see this, and everybody seems to have their spirits up and about.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Kenyatta National Hospital. There's an alarm as 6 infants have died of a drug-resistant pneumonia. What? This is getting the Ministry of Health raising eyebrow. Excuse me. Referral hospitals across the country have been put on high alert. The Health Ministry has heightened public health measures at the Kenyatta National Hospital newborn unit following reports of babies infected with a life-threatening bacteria that is resistant to available antibiotics. The multi-drug resistant bacteria called Klebsiella pneumonia has far been identified in about 13 neonates, which are newborns, 6 of whom have since died. 7 of them are under intensive care. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe yesterday visited the facility on the 9th of September when he imposed containment measures at the facility to reduce the deadly infections transmission. He told hospital staff to actively screen at-risk neonates who and ensure that they are... Okay, this is just a messed up sentence here, but essentially make sure that there's even environmental screening at the affected unit. The Kenyatta National Hospital, as well as other health facilities, need to review their surveillance systems to improve identification and management of health care acquired infections. So this is it. That there's a possibility, well, it's not a possibility, it is clear that these newborns contracted this pneumonia while in hospital, because you cannot be born with pneumonia. It's not one of those diseases that it goes from mother to child. All right, you cannot be born with it. So it's a bacteria that they contracted while in a hospital after having been born. Okay, post birth, and so there's a problem then with health care acquired infections. Many argue that one of the most infectious places actually is a hospital. Healthcare workers should screen all babies at admission to newborn units for early identification and isolation of those infected and ensure continuous capacity building for all staff on infection prevention and control. It's sad that this needs to be a reminder, but look, it needs to be. The CS urged all referral hospitals in the country to collaborate with other health facilities to minimize cross-hospital transfer of infections. The first case was at the Kenyatta National Hospital. It was identified on the 22nd of August at the microbiology lab. This was after taking blood samples of an infant who had been admitted to the neonatal critical care unit. The infant's blood samples tested positive for the multi-drug resistant bacteria. They isolated the child, and it was then found to be in 13 others who've all been managed as per standard procedure, of which 6 had succumbed. According to Dr. Brian Maugo, a neonatology lecturer at the University of Nairobi, the infections that are resistant to drugs are the most common of infant deaths. When neonates are infected with a certain type of bacteria, an easier way of treating them is the use of antibiotics. Unfortunately, the antibiotics that are available currently are resistant to this bacteria.
What?
Or rather, the bacteria is resistant to these antibiotics.
Around, yes.
Sorry.
But all antibiotics available,
and that's a scary thing.
It's resistant to all of them.
Yes, and that's a scary thing. That what is available, it cannot treat.
And these are, neonatal antibiotics, because they've got to have some certain strengths.
So this is what we are looking at now. And so what he goes on to say is that even as hand washing was thought to have picked up well during the pandemic and some were ingrained in people's routine, people have slackened, yet it's one of the ways of fighting such infections. When I talk about hand washing, I mean using soap and clean running water, not a hand sanitizer. Every person handling a baby. And you would think that in a healthcare facility, this was common knowledge, right? But it isn't. That everyone handling a baby should consider washing their hands appropriately before, when, and with the baby. He repeated Mr. Kagwe's warning on environmental surveillance as a preventative tool against such infections. Hospitals in the country need to do what we call environmental culture, or surveillance. This means they should routinely take swabs of different sites at the newborn unit, such as the ventilator, as simple as the bed, to help in identifying where the source of the infection may be. Health workers should also practice this cohorting, which means isolating those who are infected, as well as a thorough cleanup and sanitation of the unit. So clearly, this doesn't happen.
I think it does. It's just maybe re-emphasizing.
To the levels that it should, because what he's saying, Maugo goes on to say that when you have 13 babies who've been infected with one strain of a bacteria, then it shows cause for worry that the sanitization is not up to scratch.
Well, let's ask ourselves, how many babies, just to use the brute words, how many babies are processed through the maternity at KNH in a week?
Many. But how many babies is enough for you to raise your eyebrows on
when
one is infected?
It's true. The point I'm raising is, if this infection happened at this point. Number one, that it was detected soon enough. It didn't take 30 months. For they noticed that something is happening. Yes, the children died. It's pneumonia. It's infant stage. It's newborns. It's deadly. But it was detected soon after, properly at the lab, and identified this is what's happening. And they've taken measures and they've isolated. And yes, since then, sadly, those babies have died. I don't think it really is a point to say that KNH has very poor hygiene.
It's not KNH only.
Or hospitals have very poor hygiene standards. Yes, they may have poor hygiene standards, but it says there's some surveillance that's taking place there. There may be a dropping of the ball, but there's something happening. It's just tightening the systems.
You know, pneumonia is an infectious disease. Now, the assumption is this. For you to be infected, you must be near somebody who has it.
Yes.
So now, it's not only children who are in that environment. It's grown-ups. It's adults. Okay? So, and the likelihood is that it's adults who had it.
Yep.
Now, somebody could be walking around with the pneumonia and they do not know. Now, so long as you haven't begun a treatment, it means you are still infectious. 24 hours and beyond, after you've begun treatment, the infection rate reduces. So the issue here, yes, and what's raising panic buttons is that 3 infants have died. So what they need to figure out is, when they talk about screening, how do they screen the sort of people who work in their environment where children are? And what do they screen them for?
Yeah.
This is what needs to be questioned. Because those children are not born with pneumonia, and you correctly put it, but somebody had pneumonia.
Sure. And this is what we're talking about. Even the sanitization of the units where these children are, it's probably easier than we would expect for it to be ignored. That you say, okay, sure, wipe down the beds, wipe down the areas, making sure that we're actually washing hands in a proper manner, because it's human. But then when you're dealing with something like you said, which is a deadly disease, and you're dealing with infants whose immunity is non-existent, then all the more reason why extra caution then needs to be followed here. And I think that's what we're talking about here, that the environmental issues are more potent than anything else here.
Yep.
How are we taking care of the areas where they are? Because 13 infected so far, still checking others, 6 having died of the same thing, because there's no drug at the moment to treat them with. You know?
It spreads pretty fast.
It does. You see, the problem is this. If it isn't handled or managed well or treated well, then what happens is that the bacteria now acquires resistance to the antibiotics. And then you have now your problem is now compounded. Because the moment you have a disease that is resistant to what is supposed to treat it, then the things you now have to do are completely different. Now, you may know what to do, but you may not have the means to do it. Or even at that point in time, you may not have realized that you are actually dealing with an ailment that is drug resistant. So, remember, for such a thing to happen often, it's against a background where such a thing hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah.
So certain processes are taken for granted. So this comes as a shocker. Or perhaps this comes as a shocker because it's being announced and there had been issues before, but they were not addressed. Yes. You know, when we talk about healthcare, and we talk about an absence of commodities, and we talk about just fundamentals not being taken care of, what we are now discussing here is the eventuality of some of these things that are either ignored or not attended to appropriately. It results in this. Now, some parents have lost a child.
Yes.
Some children have lost their lives, and arguably who didn't need to have.
Very good. Let me tell you the story of Kakamega. The year is 2022. The deep 20-foot wide river Isyuhu separates Shitaho and Mundulu villages in Kakamega County. There are no footbridges or linking between the two villages. Thus, anyone seeking to cross from Shitaho to Mundulu and vice versa must do so using a canoe that has seen better days. outgoing Shinyalu constituency MP Justus Kizito says he had mooted plans to build a footbridge over the river using CDF money, but now that I'm no longer in office, the new MPs should do something about it. Hawakunirudisha. Waambie MP yao mpya. However, a recent court ruling that said CDF is unconstitutional could complicate matters for the new MP Freddy Kana, who will be forced to look for funds to build a bridge elsewhere. At night, or when the canoe owner is unavailable, one must travel about 20 kilometers over land through Kayega or 15 kilometers through Shinyalu to get to the other side of the river crossing. The alternative is to swim across the river. That's the challenge that villagers in Shitahaw and Mundulu are presented with on a daily basis. The writers of this story found a 22-year-old Emmanuel Mbalasi reclining on a bench on one end of a canoe that swayed gently, disturbed by ripples created by the fast-flowing water. He uses the canoe to take people across the river Isiuhu, which originates from Charanganyi Hills and flows into the river Yala on its way to Lake Victoria. When the Standard team arrived at the river crossing, the water level had retreated by at least a meter. Wetness on the lower bank marked the place where the water had been only a few hours earlier. It's like a tide. In the wee hours in the morning, the river extends for about 1 meter beyond the bank, but retreats by the time the sun is up. He says, taking people across the river he started doing this at the age of 10 years. As a child, his father, Ernest Muhati, allowed him to learn the trade and occasionally let him steer the craft. He went to Shivakala Primary School, going to Shidodo Secondary School, dropped out in Form 2 due to lack of school fees. Since then, I've been making a living ferrying people across the river. It's something that has been there for many, many years. He goes on to explain that the canoe business was started by his father in the year 2000, that's 22 years ago, after noting that the river not only cut off children from attending school in either village, it also limited activities between the villages and easy access to Kakamega town from Mundulu village.
You know, this MP, former MP, Kizito was his name, was it?
Yes, Justus Kizito.
Did he have a shorter term than other MPs? Was his term 2 years, perhaps 3, and not 5?
It was 5 years, but accelerated.
Because
it went faster than everybody.
For you to be an MP in that constituency, it means you know these places.
Yes.
You're probably born in that environment.
Yes.
You're telling us in 5 years, you could not find a solution to this thing that the villagers consider to be a perennial problem. The discussions we've had about what citizens consider to be their priority and what the MPs think the citizens think is their priority. I genuinely and honestly find it absolutely tiresome and childish and infantile the way grown-ups who have been elected by the citizens represent them. When they have failed to do what they ought to have done, they suddenly now come out and in their supposed...
They have good reason.
Thank you very much.
Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
They come up with very good reason why it
they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
And they say, in fact, it was in the pipeline. The question is, when you look at such things, so you have a CDF committee is elected from across the constituency. How many other priority projects were there for Shinyalu constituency in the 5 years, in the last 20 years? Okay, in the last number of years since CDF was first introduced into the country. So what was it, 22 or 5?
Yes.
Around there. So let's just start from the 2008 Parliament. That was the 10th, 11th, 12th Parliament.
We're talking about 15 years.
3 parliaments. CDF has been in existence.
It has.
It has never been an area of a priority project for CDF to actually say we need to put up a bridge for the people of Isiuhu, Shitaho, and Mundulu to be
crisscrossing from one side to the other.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that there's certain things, there's certain economic activities and other social activities that happen or that must happen, and they need that crossing to be safe and even existent. Forget about safe. It needs to exist. So what was the thinking? That these things that you're doing on a daily basis in terms of, representation of your people, how are they working? How are children crossing to school? Because there are those who live on this side, school on the other side.
They drop out of school like this one.
Or they drop out of school. And then that's all right? Is it okay? I don't. I fail to connect.
These aren't the only communities on this planet.
And it's not just CDF, by the way.
Yes.
Let's talk about a county government. There is Kakamega County. For the last 9 years, Kakamega County has had a lot of money. In fact, it has spent 8 billion shillings to put up a structure, and Kakamega calling a level 6 hospital. Right?
Right. And? Is it in news? No.
No, it's not.
Has the 8 billion been spent? Yes, it has.
Yes.
What else could the 8 billion have done?
Local infrastructure like bridges surely is something that county government could do.
You know, the reason why I'm spitting fire on this particular matter is because you have polytechnics, village polytechnics, you have technical institutions within that county.
Yep.
Are you telling me that if you gave a technical institution the task of coming up with a structure that could be used as a bridge?
Fabricate a bridge.
Thank you. Are you telling me that it could not be done? It can be done. Something that can be utilized. If people can manufacture, create a boat that they can use, bridge. We're not asking the bridge to float.
No, just a simple one like this.
You know, there are so many ways of displaying one's incompetence. But there is no better way that is displayed in this country than by the excuses that people who have been in leadership and who also have the resources to bring about change. They don't bring about change, and instead of apologizing, they go around finding or looking for excuses. I didn't do this because somebody or this thing happened. The amount of money that each constituency gets in a year, if I'm not wrong, is 100 million.
Yeah.
Okay? So 500 million Kenya shillings in the time that you've been there.
Yeah.
And you're telling me this couldn't be done.
Couldn't do a bridge over troubled waters.
And the county government as well. The government of Uhuru Kenyatta as well. It's done so many bridges. It has done so many 11,000 kilometers of roads. It's done all those things.
And this couldn't be done.
Yeah. It comes down to the leadership from the local area MCA going all the way up. Local MCA to that local member of parliament to the local government. I mean, what is it about this community that has just made it appear? It's like it doesn't exist. People just look past it.
It's not even just this community. If you look at the culture that we have between our elected class of leaders, it's the same thing. They feel and think and behave as though their leadership requirement is to talk about things. That's it. Doing is a completely different matter. And when you bring in the subject of doing, then the subject, it's changed. We can't do this because of this. And you ask, were you given money? Yes, but you see, this money, see? Now,
yep.
In my mind, breakdown of communication. So that money, as far as you're concerned, is for you to talk about, but not to do whatever it is that you're required to do.
27 minutes to 8. This is Kakamega County. We also have stories from Homa Bay County and Kirinyaga County. 2 men arrested with a stolen cow in Kirinyaga County. County 049 is Bwatele County. What's happening there?
Issues, man. But the people have decided you will not do like this, so we will not agree. You see this bridge that you're talking about, where we cannot, we will build the bridge, or guess what? Just come and sit here with us a little bit while you decide whether you want to rule or not. In the meantime, Deputy Governor takes over. Many intrigues happening here and there. The 4th episode of County 49 will be on Showmax this week, Thursday. And you can catch up with the first 3 as well as wait for the 4th one. For as little as 760 shillings per month, you have an access to a platform which delivers great content by wonderful Kenyan actors and having an opportunity to showcase great script writing and watch that on Showmax.
Let's take this break, take a look at the traffic and weather. And also, as we keep updating you on what's happening, we're watching multiple screens. Kasarani is very busy. Karen, the Deputy President-elect, Rigathi Gachagua, has not even been allowed by the reporters to exercise this morning. Story mingi.
Asking me questions.
Lifts a dumbbell like this. So, Mr. President, will you be able to lift the country?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We know it is cold, but Cold Stone Creamery has hot deals for you. This month, enjoy cups of rich and creamy ice cream, delicious ice cream cakes, and fresh oven-baked cakes at amazing prices. Visit any of our stores in Nairobi or Mombasa and indulge in your favorite treats. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
If I look at the Premier League table, Manchester City is on top. Arsenal, number 2 in the table. Absolutely. How did Brentford get to number 3 in the Premier League table? They beat us like Burukenge.
Sugar and spice. What's your love language, French?
My love language is I want to be left alone.
What can't you compromise on?
Quality time and acts of service. Words of affirmation tutapata hata kanisani.
We do this
11 to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday.
The sun is up in Nairobi at 14, highs of 25 and lows of 13 today. Partly sunny at 16 in Nakuru, highs of 23. And we'll see highs of 22 in Nyeri, where it's cloudy at 13. 15 degrees and mostly cloudy conditions in Eldoret, highs of 22. And we'll see highs of 28 in a rainy Mombasa at 23 at the moment. It's also 23 and raining in Malindi, highs of 28. Mostly cloudy conditions at 20 in Kisumu, highs of 26. And we'll see highs of 26 as well in a cloudy Kakamega at 19. Mostly cloudy conditions at 19 in Kampala. We'll see highs of 27. And it's partly sunny at 21 in Dar es Salaam, highs of 30 and lows of 21. Johannesburg is cloudy at 9, highs of 22 and lows of 8. And we're looking at light rain in Lagos at 24 with highs of 29. It's clear in Kinshasa at 22. We'll see highs of 33.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
Traffic situation is looking pretty good today, and that means that there is none. Most of the streets that we're looking at on a normal basis probably get back into business tomorrow. But today's the day when most people are staying home. Even with the numbers that are at Kasarani today, most people are in their houses and not moving around with vehicles. Hence, we have no traffic on the streets. Just in case something does get you in a bit of a pickle, let us know. SpiceFM KE on Twitter this morning.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Good morning, and how are you doing? 22:08. Where are you tuned in from this morning?
Mornings done right.
The new president, Charity Maina says she's in Milimani at Nakuru and tuned in. Evelyn Kavaya is in Riyadh. Hunter's Kasarani is Michael Ngoge. Michael Ngoge is in Hunter's Kasarani. Yes. And from Dallas, you talked about Anthony Jambo Karanja.
Yeah.
Was in Dallas.
And Samuel Anokwafo is in Ghana.
Samuel
Akes Anokwafo.
Bas, that is the one.
Mm-hmm.
Ghana is a good place to be. That is the place to be.
Mm.
Yeah. I want to talk about something. So yesterday we saw President Uhuru Kenyatta welcoming President-elect William Ruto to State House, Nairobi. They shook hands. The President and the First Lady welcomed the President-elect and the First Lady designate and showed them around State House. Hii room hii ukikasirika kuja ujifungia hapa.
Kutaka kuomba.
This is the best place. I know you like having a prayer room. This is the best. I'd suggest you set it up here. It's quiet. People don't walk around this corridor much. And blah, blah,
hata wakiwalk unaweza kuwafukuza.
Ama wait ndani wakuje waombe.
Na wewe.
Yeah. You know, all those things. And then you saw the camaraderie between the president and the president-elect, and him escorting them out and waving, and, you know, the speech that he gave thereafter. And then soon after, we saw a statement from the Raila Odinga Presidential Secretariat, signed by Raila Odinga himself, in which he said that he had received a letter and a telephone call from His Excellency Dr. William Ruto inviting him to his inauguration set for today. The letter by Raila says, "I regret, however, that I will not be available for the inauguration because I'm out of the country and also I have other serious concerns. First, I believe that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the body in charge of our elections, did not conduct a free and fair election. Secondly, I believe that the ruling of the Supreme Court was not based on the facts and the law, even though we accepted it. For these reasons, the outcome of the election remains indeterminate. Once I return to the country, I'll, jointly with the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party leaders, announce our next steps as we seek to deepen and strengthen our democracy. We can only do so if we can reform and transform the key institutions that are charged with protecting and advancing our democracy. In the meantime, I applaud and thank our supporters and Kenyans who came out in large numbers to vote for us on the 9th of August, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So reading that statement, I was kind of lost and confused. So some things are clear. Number one, it's clear that Raila Odinga, like we were talking about President Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga is not congratulating or acknowledging William Ruto. Right? Number two, he says, we accepted the ruling of the Supreme Court. The judgment of the Supreme Court was basically a culmination of a constitutional process. The election is held, conducted by the IEBC, right? Mm-hmm. The IEBC announces and declares the result of the election. Mm-hmm. Those that feel that there's a dispute take the dispute to the Supreme Court, right? Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court is given the job of determining the validity of that result that has been announced by the IEBC. Yep. So it either upholds the result that has been announced or it nullifies the result that has been announced. Upholding the result means that they give a stamp of approval to the result and the contents of the result, which is the president-elect being duly elected. Mm-hmm. So when Raila says, we accepted the judgment of the Supreme Court, on the one hand, casual translation, it means that we've accepted that the Supreme Court has upheld the declaration by the IEBC of a winner and the outcome of this election. True?
That is certainly one explanation.
Then, when he goes ahead to say that the outcome of the election remains indeterminate, that's why I'm confused.
I think if we go by the statements I made earlier on about how it is that opinions have populated our airwaves and our social media and mainstream media, and coming into play here is our understanding of the freedoms that we have. What the Supreme Court gave us as a verdict was their opinion. This is how they feel. This is how they understood this thing. Now, if then the former Prime Minister comes up and says, this is their understanding, accepting a court ruling or the outcome of a court ruling is one issue. Yes, and the meaning and the implication, yes, could very well be that if you accept the ruling, then you accept the outcome that they were ruling on. But on the other hand, it doesn't. It doesn't have to mean that. It just means that you have your views about it, but because it is their ruling, you say, so be it. You're not challenging their ruling. But it doesn't mean that you agree with it. Accepting is an interesting term. I actually looked up the meaning of it. There are three meanings that are offered when you Google search the meaning. Coming to recognize something for what it is, coming to arrive at a consent or of something. But the duality of meaning that you are pointing out is also not lost on me. You then have to ask, so if you accept, what exactly have you accepted? Yes. What you disagree with is clear, but so what did you accept?
So what have you accepted?
Yes. What did you accept? It seems like it's clear, but it is not clear because the assumption is that accepting that ruling has to do with accepting the outcome that they were pronouncing themselves on.
Yeah.
Now, but you say you accept, and then on the one hand, you present this argument that you don't really accept. I can only say this. All these things that we hear of, there's the reality of it. Today we are swearing in a president, a new president. Reality, which means the outcome of the court decision has borne fruit, and we are seeing it, and people are abiding by it. Personal opinion, I don't like it. Personal opinion. I don't agree with it. Personal opinion. I'm confused. Again, personal opinion. But I would focus on the reality of that eventuality. Do we respect the decisions that our courts make? Yes. That is the process of understanding how it is you formulate a democracy that is ruled by the rule of law. That's how it is. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. It is the law. And you move forward with it. Now, if you think there is something that you do not like, then try and find a way of changing it. It's a legal process. Change the law. We can't keep complaining, for instance, because this thing began with the IEBC. Our thoughts on the IEBC. We've had 5 years to change the IEBC.
Yep.
We've had 5 years to legislate so that the things we don't like about the IEBC are changed.
And the processes.
Everything.
Yep.
Attempts were made. Now, the outcome was that the IEBC we have is as a result of the people who may have thought or wanted to change what they did or didn't do. So, as far as I'm concerned, there's a French expression, fait accompli. Precisely. So, the reality is, here we are.
We are where we are. And the same way we were saying last week that there's institutions, there's what we are doing with our nascent democracy, especially following the second liberation and the coming into of a new constitution that attempted to address some things of the past and setting a new footing going forward. As we start to establish these traditions, there is expectation that is also placed on certain individuals based on who they are. Some people are like Uhuru Kenyatta, Kalonzo Musyoka, William Ruto, Raila Odinga, and so on, are not just individuals. They are individuals on one side, and they are institutions on the other side. And there's a certain extra responsibility that's bestowed on them on what we need to do to establish the traditions that we are establishing.
Eric, it's not even an additional responsibility. It is just the fundamental responsibilities of leadership. You see, leading means you have a certain way of doing things that people follow. To put it as simply as I possibly can. It's in what you say, it's in what you do. It's in how you conduct yourself. People look at that. That's what they follow. It's what you represent. You aspire to a position of leadership. There are certain expectations. There is no running away from it.
Yeah.
Now, in the process of building up a democracy that we call our own, I personally think that when we see these dichotomies, when we see these issues that sometimes raise questions and for which there's no direct or easy response, that again points to the process that we are dealing and grappling with issues of our democracy. We are moving away from determining what we think is right and lamenting, presenting, and making it appear as though what we want is what ought to be, and going to the point of, this is what we'd like, but this is what the rule of law is. Now, we may disagree with it. There has to be a commonality if people are to move forward and actually be ruled by the law. It means this. When the court decides something and you're the president, you don't have the freedom to disagree with the court.
Yeah.
You can
can't
express...
just ignore them.
No, you can express whatever feeling you have, but you have to abide by their ruling.
That's right.
That's a responsibility that you now have.
Yeah.
The moment you're in leadership, that court of law, the reason why you have all these levels is so that when you disagree, you move to another level. When you disagree, you move to yet another level. When it gets to the Supreme Court, my friend, that's it.
Yeah.
Until you have something else that happens that changes that perspective, that's it. Now, we have to grow to understand it. Now, there may be miscarriages of justice. It happens.
Yep.
But that is the reason why we have other courts higher courts, superior courts, appellate courts. That's why we have all these systems. They are not perfect because they are manned by human beings. But at least if we honor them and we believe in what it is that they're trying to represent, our part in building our democracy will be to abide by their ruling. When we disagree, we follow the processes that are laid down. Because this constitution is not selective, it's for everybody.
That's it. The Supreme Court, at the end of the 21 days, constitutionally, where they are supposed to release the full judgment, they said they are going to propose some amendments to the election body and the election processes. All right? And I think it's important that the national leadership actually waits for that and takes it up and says, we have been talking about electoral reforms. What is it that we need to do? So the judges of the Supreme Court, from their point, are proposing this and the other. What is our proposal? What is the proposal of Martha Karua, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, and the others on what needs to be done to the IEBC so that we can keep reducing this level of mistrust and distrust that we have with the institution?
Because it's got, and I think, and it's got to be a deliberate thought process around this. It's got to be everybody saying, okay, guys, let's sort out this thing once and for all. Because it would look as though a next election cycle is far off, but it really is not. And it will hit you in the face and say, oh my gosh, I wish we had done it then. Interesting, parties notwithstanding, if there is a problem with the electoral system that continues to foster this spirit of mistrust and doubt and whatever it is, hadn't it better be then for the good of the country to say, let us fix it? All the parties who, for an instance, and interestingly enough, seem to be the ones who always have an issue with it, then be the ones to now have this discourse
push for the proper
around
solution.
What can be the solution. It's got to be deliberate. It can't just be like, let's just hope it evolves into a better situation. There has to be a hands-on approach to, okay, guys, what are the fundamental issues here and how can we deal with them?
And we don't have to be dramatic.
No.
We don't have to say, get Chebukati. It's not
and
the
it can be
individuals.
consensus. It can be consensus.
Yes.
It can be consensus.
You know, the opportunities to change this winner-take-all system, it hasn't been just one occasion. There's been more than one occasion when this could have been done. And we could have had a parliamentary system which then gives you a clear opposition with roles, all this that we're talking about, the things that were being represented in the BBI. The opportunities have been there. Now, if it didn't come about, let's not lament about the past. What else can be done? Because the truth of the matter is this. This system, as it currently is what raises these temperatures. Because it's either the presidency or not. Why is it that these legislators, in their wisdom, because these are very educated people, why have they not determined, for instance? Remember we had a discussion here where there had been thoughts about making a former deputy president a member of the Senate. Why not make every former president a member of the Senate automatically? What prevents you? I mean, there are so many things that one can do. You can have a hybrid system of government. It doesn't have to be just fully parliamentary. Why? The opportunities were lost somewhere along the line, but it doesn't mean they can't be reclaimed. Look, these discussions that we keep having, just like with our court rulings, I have been of the opinion, and I still maintain that opinion, these are good processes for us to look at. When our emotions come down and we start looking at this thing with clear eyes, this is how you build a democracy. The process of moving forward and understanding that something that you wished for and wanted didn't happen it's not the end of the world. It's a beginning of a new process. And if you look at this new system, it may have things that may actually benefit you. And in most cases, it does. I look at our political processes and I look at the history of it. I'm reminded of somebody called Malcolm X, who, when President John F. Kennedy was shot dead, was quoted as saying, "The chickens have come home to roost." Yes, Elijah Muhammad, his spiritual leader, suspended him from the Nation of Islam as a result of it. And he explained, he said, he did not wish the president dead. What he meant was simply this: when you have a culture of hatred, that is the outcome that is likely to happen. And he himself, for all his efforts, got shot. Martin Luther and King, who wanted integration, himself got assassinated. All I'm saying is this: These are outcomes of different people trying to bring about change in the way that they felt was best. But the amazing thing about all these leaders was their capacity and ability to change as they moved along and to embrace new realities. Martin Luther King had always preached integration. Malcolm X had preached separation. But what did he do? He came to understand that perhaps that was not the way to go, and he changed. Sometimes you look at what you've been doing and you have to ask yourself, how do I metamorphosize with time and bring about the sort of change that I wanted, but bring it in a different way so that we can have the same outcome?
Sure. Anyway, I just felt, I was just a bit confused. Let's wait for the man to come back. He'll tell us what his thoughts are going forward. Yep. Yeah, going forward. Yeah. So after this afternoon, William Ruto will be the president. And immediately, the gears shift to your president-elect. Oh, I promise, I swear, if you give me the opportunity into, okay, now you have the opportunity. What next? We expect to see Ruto delivering. The pullout in today's Standard is a 24-page pullout on a special feature on President-elect William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, the journey and also the promises that he's made. It actually has Ruto's key pledges, which is a whole double spread. Rising cost of living, he needs to address that. Health, agriculture, education, youth, vulnerable and the old, women, mining, persons with disabilities, sports, debt, pending bills, housing, small businesses, settlement fund to acquire land and resettle up to 1 million landless families. It's a promise that Ruto made. On tourism, he pledged to diversify Kenya's tourism by promoting niche market products, nurture a tourism ecosystem that supports local tourism, diversify source markets to include African markets, a creative economy, appoint accomplished Kenyan artists and creative sector personalities as cultural ambassadors, pass creative economy bill to allow establishment of a film organization, funds, review inter-county licensing regime with view of developing a single permit. All those things. There are very many promises. If you buy the Standard today, you will just be seeing these are the promises that Ruto made. So when we start now calling out on the new president and telling him, Mr. Boss.
How far?
Yeah, how far? Where are we on this particular one? We are starting tomorrow evening. It's 14th. Bei ya mafuta inapanda, inakaa ama inashuka. Tukae tukijua. Tujipange. Kenya mpya.
You look at these pictures at Kasarani. Again, I am reminded of the pictures on the day we got independence, because I saw them as a child then. But the pictures are there for posterity. These pictures often represent hope.
Yes.
You look at the people's faces. All these people.
Yes.
They are here hoping and expecting that indeed the change of God will bring about changes that will make their lives better. It's a huge burden.
Because everybody who's here in Kasarani today is actually an embodiment of that hope.
Yes, it is.
It's all right. We really believed in the message, so we are here. This is the beginning of the delivery.
Yes.
What?
It's difficult.
It's a very heavy task. It's a very heavy task. Thank you very much, everybody, from wherever you are tuned in. Curie Motors is in Nyeri, Mombasa. Lucy is in Shanghai, China. Carrier is in Mombasa. Everybody from across the country and across the globe. Remember, you can watch County 49 on Showmax.
Yes, for 760 shillings per month, at the least, you can have access to Showmax and the intrigues of Boatele in County 49 and have some really, really good programming action for just that amount. And it's the fourth episode will be out this week, and you can catch up with the other three courtesy of Showmax.
Indeed. The new MP for Dagoretti North is called?
Beatrice Elachi.
She was an assistant minister. Forget the long name. An assistant minister in Uhuru Kenyatta's administration. She was the speaker of the Nairobi County Assembly and other things, and a nominated member of parliament. She'll be here. We'll talk about Uhuru's legacy in the next hour. At 9 o'clock, we'll have former Mandera Senator what's his name?
Bill O'Carroll,
to also talk about what we've seen in the Uhuru, what we should expect from Ruto. Good morning, it's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning. This is Newswire. I am Stephanie Wangari. Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua is preparing for the big day with a workout session at his home in Karen. Speaking to KTN News, Gachagua has expressed gratitude to God and Kenyans for according him the opportunity to serve.
I'm a first-time MP, but I don't think God, in his wisdom takes such considerations. God knows whom to use to help his people. If it is the will of God that Rigathi Gachagua, a one-time MP, an ordinary child, a son of Mau, be the one to be given the responsibility to help Dr. William Ruto on the economic liberation of this country, so be it, and may the will of God be honored.
Gachagua says today marks the beginning of freedom in the country.
Dr. Ruto and I and our families are indeed very excited. This is a very big day for us. I am told Kasarani is already packed. There is a new wave of freedom. You know, I'm told by those who are there in 1963 that they are feeling the way they felt then. It's unbelievable that we are coming from a country that had degenerated into a police state with a lot of dictatorship, and today people are free.
On her part, Second Lady Dorcas Rigathi says today is one of the biggest days of her life.
I feel excited, and I think I have a good husband. And the way he has worked for the 4 years, day and night, and I'm excited also for him, and to see that whatever he has been working for is just about to happen. I'm really excited for him and for myself and for the family and the family of Kenya.
The National Police Service has now requested the public to make alternative arrangements to view President-elect William Ruto's proceedings. In a statement, the police said that by 5 a.m. today, the Kasarani Sports Stadium was filled to capacity ahead of the inauguration. Our reporter, Emmanuel Toy, is on ground.
Well, a very good morning to you. Definitely a very packed day here at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, where the inauguration process or the swearing in of the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, is expected to happen. The swearing in will also be for the Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua. And so about 60,000 Kenyans have already turned up for this event. The stadium is full to the capacity, and we've already seen some overflow of the members of the public watching from outside. About some hundreds of them are outside watching from the screens that have been mounted outside. And so we're waiting to see other heads of state that have been invited. About 20 of them arrive, and we are here at the main entrance, at the VIP entrance, to see and give you some of those details. So that is what we have from here. Over to you in studio.
Outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday evening bid farewell to State House staff ahead of handing over power to his successor, President-elect William Ruto. President Kenyatta was accompanied by First Lady Margaret Kenyatta as they said their goodbyes to the State House Kenya leadership team led by Comptroller Kinuthia Mbogwa. During the meeting, attended by Head of Public Service Joseph Kenywa, the outgoing Head of State thanked the officers for distinguished service during his tenure and advised them to serve the new administration with the same enthusiasm. Detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission arrested a senior officer working with the Nairobi Metropolitan Services for allegedly soliciting 400,000 shillings bribe. Daniel Omido, an administrating officer for health, is alleged to have demanded a bribe of 400,000 shillings in order to approve online applications relating to testing and issuance of certificates to food handlers within the Nairobi metropolitan area. According to the anti-graft body, Omido was arrested following a complaint from the owner of the company identified as Quality Plus Laboratory and Consultancy Services. The Kenyatta National Hospital has announced that it will close its clinics today during the inauguration of President-elect William Ruto. The hospital announced the move in a short statement published on its Twitter account. The hospital has since rerouted patients to other wards. That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, we're going to have the same traffic situation throughout most of today, that's for sure. We're looking at a little bit of traffic on Outer Ring, but nothing worrisome. Let's look into the city where a little bit of action as well in the CBD. The Thika Superhighway in and outbound looks pretty good as it does on the other side of town in Westlands. Traffic situation not too bad. Everybody's probably reached where they need to be going at least by 10 o'clock, and we'll see probably an influx of traffic thereafter, after 2. But for now, it doesn't look too bad, and we're probably going to keep it that way for most parts of today. Just in case, let us know. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
All right,
the only
7
way
minutes
to start
after 8.
your day.
Good morning, and how are you doing? So what do we call this holiday? Happy Inauguration Day.
Inauguration Day.
All right.
Happy how?
Happy the 5th.
Well,
It's the day of the 5th. Good morning. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is a Situation Room on Spice FM. We are live on Spice FM. We are live on KTN Home. We're also live online on YouTube and Facebook. And we're watching what's happening at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. We also have camera crews at Rigathi Gachagwa's residence in Karen and the Deputy President's residence in Karen as well. And we'll also have monitoring what's happening at State House.
Yep.
So what's going to happen is dignitaries, guests are seated at Kasarani from as early as midnight. People have been in Kasarani. Kasarani is filling up. And then the VIPs will start arriving maybe from 8:30 into 9 o'clock.
I think we've seen some of them already.
Already they're getting in there. The guard of honor is ready. Then the deputy president-elect and the president-elect will make their way into the stadium. And then the president will be the last person to enter the stadium. He will get into Kasarani as the last person to enter, this being his final and farewell moment serving as president. He will do the lap of honor in the ceremonial Land Rover. He'll inspect that one. So we call all those cars Land Rovers.
Well, there's a Land Cruiser, Land Rover.
It's all Land Rover.
Because the Land Rover.
It's land.
It's a land.
And
that one.
And the Rover.
Yes. And then he'll inspect a guard of honor, and then the ceremony will begin. The two, William and Rigathi, will take their oaths. 2 oaths each. Oath of allegiance to the Constitution and oath of due execution of the duty of president or deputy president. And then thereafter, they will receive the president will receive the instruments of power from the outgoing president, and that will be the end of that session. There will be speeches. The president will then depart, go to State House, and wait for the new president to come in. And they say goodbye. Kwaheri ya kuonana. Mungu napenda wewe sana. Abariki wewe. City Muga has the day's proverb.
Indeed, I do. If you always walk down the same path, you will go where you've been before.
If you always walk down the same path, you will go where you've been before.
Yep.
Yeah. And you should basically just know. This is a proverb from Chad again.
Yes, now this is the final one. Final.
Final. The Chad final, this one.
Yeah, for this season, it's final.
Until next time. Until the
next time.
You know, and it won't be tomorrow or the day after. It'll be a while.
Tomorrow can be a new season.
Yeah, we need to travel around the continent a little more. We've been in Chad enough. So we need to move to the next country and then the next and the next.
Okay.
And then we'll go down to the south and come up again.
Take us to Egypt one of these days.
Okay.
Did the pharaohs have proverbs?
Oh, they had many.
Okay.
They had many. He who stares at the sun
does what?
Should not be surprised at their blindness.
Wow.
That's a nice one. That's a nice one. So we have a guest in the studio, and this is Dagoretti North Member of Parliament, Beatrice Elachi. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to have you on the show. Congratulations on your election as the MP for Dagoretti North.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Prior to this, you were serving as the Chief Administrative Secretary, and before that, you were Speaker of the Nairobi County Assembly, and before that, you were in Parliament.
Yes.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle.
Full circle
yes.
You've done.
Yes.
And that's a full circle of 9 years. Hiya.
Yeah.
A full circle of 9 years. First nominated to Parliament in 2013.
Yes.
By which party?
The Alliance Party of Kenya. A party that
The National
was...
Alliance.
No.
The Alliance
Not
Party.
TNA. It was Alliance Party of Kenya.
Which one
well,
is that?
Me with Kirait. I was the SG at that time. It was a party that started now building up. Before now, they felt that it is important to have TNA then. So as we decided, we remain with the Alliance Party of Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
For it to nominate you to Parliament, it must have had a number of MPs.
Yes, I had 15 members of Parliament and 98 MCAs and 2 senators, 1 governor.
So it's a big party.
Yeah.
Yes.
At that time.
Was it called Mbas?
Mbas.
Yes.
This Mbas.
It was a big Mbas.
It was a big Mbas. Yeah.
So served that term as a nominated MP.
Nominated senator.
So
yes.
Nominated senator, yes. And then in 2017, 2018, Speaker.
Yes.
Of the County Assembly of Nairobi.
Yes.
And now here you are as elected Member of Parliament in ODM.
Yes.
Full circle, as we say.
But by the grace of God. It's not a circle of me. No.
Not by your might.
Yeah.
Not by your power.
No,
but by?
Yeah. Seti, you are about to make a comment.
I was going to say that, you know, the versatility of a political career, I think, is often best exemplified by the diversity. If you can serve as a Secretary General of a party, serve as a nominated MP, serve as a CAS, serve as the Speaker of an Assembly, a tumultuous one as the one we have in this delightful county we live in. If one was talk about political education, I don't think it can get any better. You see so many things. This is not even 360. This is 720. You actually get to see things in ways that you never thought you would see. Because I'm thinking of an assembly, a national, a county assembly like the one in Nairobi, and I'm thinking of just the representation of the individuals who are there.
Yes.
Hey, God Almighty!
I tell you.
Hey. They are thinking the way they believe they should express themselves, their expectations.
I know.
My friend, you are juggling with things that very few people actually get to juggle with. Okay? Someone comes at an assembly, having mastered in the time they've been on this planet something like 4 sentences of the English language.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
That's the sum total of the knowledge of it.
said 4 is good.
Yes.
Yeah. None.
Yes.
Comes in and thinks I is 1. And say 1 and his name.
Oh, stop.
1.
No. Interesting. Yeah. That's how sad it is. But then
But they've been elected.
Yeah.
Some are nominated.
To represent the people.
Yes, some have had a career that you wouldn't think was a growth process in actually ascending to a political position, but it is. Okay? I'm not going to mention anything. But the point is, that motley assembly of individuals is one of the most difficult, especially in a county like Nairobi, for anyone to sit over. Oh, God Almighty. That one. I mean, I'm just imagining. I happen to know some of the individuals who were in that particular assembly. Personally. The question you want to ask, but you can never ask, is how on earth did you get here? But they got there because they were elected.
But by the grace.
By the...
Well, yes. I think it's because... I doubt whether many Nairobians really focus so much on the issue of MCA. I think even when they walk into the polling station, they are forced to just, for those who are not looking at parties, will just look at a name and just tick, or even leave, maybe. And so many of the people who vote for them are people who don't know them, but they know the party and they just vote for the party. So those are the two challenges. It is important to know your MCA, very important, because the decisions they make are decisions that really, really change Nairobi into very interesting scenarios. So if you don't participate to understand that MCA, you will be very disappointed when things are happening, and they are the ones who are doing it. Yeah, even though sometimes they also don't like. You find that they are very interesting. Number one, you can buy them very easily if you're not careful to change a law to suit somebody who wants this, and that's the most unfortunate part. That they can be just taken and be told, we need this to change, and if they feel they'll get something in it, it's very easy for them to just change. So that's another challenge, where at least if they can just uphold and remember that before you change, it's good to just ask yourself, what are the effects, the consequences of when I'm changing for my people? That will help. And that is why you look at Kilimani today, you just feel sad, but people will say it's development, it's everything. Kileleshwa, the same. So now when you go to 47th floor, 50th floor, and you're asking yourself, so in the end of the day, you have no drainage, you have no sewer, you have nothing.
Water.
So very soon we will see what I've been watching in the U.S., where just sewer went into water in Mississippi, and it will be the same in areas of Kileleshwa, Kilimani, those areas. It will be very easy to have.
This is your constituency.
Yeah.
What do you propose happens?
You see, now you can't come again and start. The mistake has been done. My proposal is just very simple. All these guys who are building all these things, we must sit down and you must start thinking how you'll put in a drainage and make a sewer. It's as simple as that. And we go back now to the city to tell the governor and his team, you come and show us where was the sewer line of this, because you'll find everyone trying to drain everything in Nairobi River if we are not careful. And I know there are some already that are doing that. So it's the governor to come in and put in and agree, both of us, that let us just be strict. We are not bringing down any building. Mistakes have been done. But then we must work together. They must prepare a drainage for themselves. Where it gets to the next, let all the landlords now take that responsibility.
Let me ask you something, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
Are we saying that the bylaws that regulated the conduct of buildings within this environment changed drastically?
Yes.
They did. So it made it possible for high-rises to be built everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay.
And nobody also gave in and said, fine, even if you're building your high-rise, the number of floors can be 12,
There was no
maximum.
there was no capping.
There was no capping.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you have your money, and so you find one just going, and the other one is just not. So you evaluate even all these houses that are around this high, and everyone is now forced to say, if this one has built, let me just sell mine and move, sell and move.
But then, yes, I understand the bylaws being changed, but was there not requisite determination that they should be accompanied by the services that such structures will need?
No.
There was no legislation to that effect. God Almighty.
None.
So what do we need to do? Because we're where we are. And yes, you're saying let's have conversations. But what kind of conversations? Is it changing those laws? Is it putting in the caps? Or is it even saying let's pause, first of all, put in the infrastructure? Because even as you say today, let's expand the sewerage system. Where are you putting it up? Are you going to...
They have the plan.
Are you going to demolish what's already in existence so that you can put up a wider sewer?
There's a plan. So you'll find if the plan says you've built on top of a sewer, then they'll have to just demolish. You're on top of a sewer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because when you are building, you knew you're building on top of a sewer. Yeah. And that sewer has to serve many others. And if you don't do that, then you'll have a health hazard one day that will be worse than building the sewer. So you pick the two and ask yourself which one is more preventable.
And after all, you should have been ready for it because you knew you were building on this thing in the first place.
So all those things are there. But then the plan should start from the governor, from the county. If the MCS were good, they can bring in the cap and say that, let's say, for example, if it's Keleleshwa ward, you just say within Keleleshwa, we are having challenges of this, and so we need a cap, and within that, we have to bring in a bylaw that will support every tenant or every landowner to bring in. Because even if you decide to leave it that way, there's somebody who is living down who will be more affected one day than you who is up.
Okay. You know? Now, let me ask the question. We're talking about micromanaging the situations with legislation at the county level.
Yes.
But what about the master plans that ought to probably act as the structure within which we do our business? What about those who are charged with urban planning, urban development? Because it's their thinking that guides how some of these things should function. And then how do you balance the need and the demand which has been occasioned by the increase in population? How do you balance that with all these things? I mean, because it's not a difficult conversation. It's just a conversation that needs to be understood.
The master plan was there, and the master plan was better in terms of managing, in terms of ensuring you are able to build, have your drainage, have your sewer. The master plan is there. It shows even how the sewer has to pass and go wherever it has to go to. And that's why I said the challenge is when somebody wants to do something in Nairobi, the first thing you believe in is I will bribe. So you start bribing the guys in planning, then you come and bribe everyone, then you get your stuff, and it's done. But it's like even South Sea. Now when you look at it today, you will just get disappointed. But it's gone now. But we cannot be as Kenyans every time saying everything is gone, we can't have solutions of it. I think it's time we also just bite the bullet and say, yes, we are the same Kenyans who did the mistake, then let's correct some of the mistakes. Because that's how a city is planned. Unless we want to change the city and take it somewhere else, and we leave this one to work as the way it wants to work. Yeah.
So even as we look at, Mheshimiwa, looking at today specifically is obviously a different day.
Yeah.
We're looking at a new administration coming in.
Yeah.
And we're looking at, as we've talked earlier, some of the same people in positions of leadership, in positions of representation, in positions of, those who will then make sure certain things are going to be done. From having worked under the previous administration in different capacities, coming now into a new administration, how will the work be? will there be an upholding of the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his administration? Or will there be new ways of doing business from the way you look at it in President-elect Ruto's administration?
Well, let me say first to congratulate the president as he goes to Kasarani to be sworn in, and to say this. We are within 1 and 1. 2013, 2017, 2022, 2027 will be same administration in power. There's nothing different that you are saying in power. We are the same guys, yeah? And so it depends. Maybe all we are going to do is to have a more fist hand on how to do things, yeah? But when I listen to all the speeches, every time I listen, I go back to Jubilee's Manifesto of 2013. I pick 9 words to your 10 in your speech, Jubilee. Yeah? And today also there will be a speech. And it's good to have the Jubilee Manifesto and always look at it in everything that happens. You look at a page, everything. And you will tell me after that it is just the same. All it will happen is, I don't know. I want to see what will happen different. If it is the Hustler Fund, it is the Uwezo Fund that will just change the name. Yeah. Yeah, you just change the name. Uwezo, which we came with, call it Hustler. Period. The money is the same, everything is the same, the structure will be the same. You haven't changed. You changed the name. Yes. Then if it is issues of youth, I'll just check on the Jubilee Manifesto. What were the issues of youth? If you pick a few and fulfill that, you're still fulfilling the same manifesto that was there. There's nothing different. And then when we go back now to the issues of infrastructure, same. You'll have to do roads, you'll have to do dams. We've already said that. It's in the Jubilee Manifesto. You're not saying the different, you're not giving any proposal that when I'm doing my dam, I'll be doing it this way as vis-a-vis how Jubilee...
And use different material or whatever. A bigger size.
No, it's the same. Then now we come to the issue of, which I think that is has been the most contentious, debt. So I want to see now payment of debt than borrowing. But I know in the next 6 months, they have to borrow. You have to borrow, or else the country will collapse.
Why? Because there's no money?
Well, since COVID time, I don't think there has been money. We've just been trying to manage.
Survive.
Yeah. And not just in Kenya, I think in many countries, because every country is trying to redevelop itself back. The industries that closed during COVID time in Europe, in China, they're still coming back. So many things are still very, very, very...
So it's much the same.
So you're saying that, because we're looking at the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and we're saying that, you know, even as he leaves office, then these are stories that will be told. But I almost hear you saying that it's a legacy that's still going to live out in the presidency of William Ruto. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. The only thing I think they are promising is they will have respect. You must have dignity, which I don't understand. The dignity is going to who? To the people or to the... We have money in the pocket. Money in the pocket is just it's a matter of opening back where everything was closed. And there was a purpose why it was closed. So if you feel that purpose is not right at now, you open. You'll reach a point and wonder whether, again, you did right or wrong. Because you see, nobody, I don't think when I'm a leader, I'll wish to see my people suffer. None. No leader will want that. I don't think when you're a leader, you'll wish to see people not having money. the consequences that forces are there. And so it's good to appreciate there's a reality, you know. On 16th is when they always add fuel. Uru used to add
14th.
14th.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So we are waiting. If they don't add, good. But I know at one point you'll be forced to. Yeah? You'll be forced to. Yes. The fertilizer, the factory is in Eldoret. So I hope it can give us now fertilizer. It's in Eldoret. It's not very far. It's in Eldoret.
Mheshimiwa, do I hear you to be saying two things? One, those who understand the French language, like Resson, Eric, gives the impression he understands it, but whether he understands is a completely different matter. Is that the more these things seem to change, the more they seem to remain the same. That's the first thing. I'm not going to try to even talk about how the French say it, but those who understand the language will say so.
Yeah.
And secondly, do I hear you to be also saying that you really must understand as a Kenyan that there are promises that are made during campaigns. Please understand, they are campaign promises.
Exactly.
And then there's the reality.
Yeah.
And now the rubber is going to hit the road. Now you're going to see the reality. So yes, there are campaign promises. We get that. But now, what can the leadership actually do? Not what they would like, but even if they wish to, what can they actually do with the reality that we have in the country?
So the reality, then they will do the Hustler Fund, because the Uwezo Fund is there. So we'll just change the name in Bunge, and the structures will remain as per they are in the constituencies. And you go and borrow that money. It's not free money. It is money that you borrow that has, lesser interest.
Yes.
So that is already there. So it will come. So there's nothing you have done. Magic. No, it is a fund that Uhuru started. He wanted, in fact, to collapse all those funds together. It was a bit difficult, and so it will remain Uwezo. Then we have the Women Fund. Then you have the Youth Fund, and that's how the fund is. Now, how you ensure a Kenyan who you promised will receive that money is how, I don't know. Maybe that will be now the promise. But if we are going to use the normal structure that government used to give money, then you have to go through a process. You must go to get a form at your fund office. You fill it properly. We get to evaluate you, and then you get the money. So it's not just money that will come and just, at least for me, I will say as Bichizalachi, yes, we promised women we will have to boost their businesses. So if the fund comes, I know the women. I will go to every woman who I know sells. Because also, you can't give everyone money who doesn't believe in doing business also. Yeah, and you can't force them to do the business, because maybe that is not what their talent is. So that is one. And then I think we are saying fertilizer. Yeah, fertilizer, Uhuru had tried also to bring it already back down to 2,000, by the way. So it is a matter of, is there that fertilizer? And can it be now given to farmers? And can now farmers get it more in the market than going to a cereal? Because for that price, they were sending farmers to a cereal to buy. But then can it be spread now to markets? So I'm awaiting it be spread. And it should not be just for now. It should be for the next 5 years. No farmer will ever wake up and ask the government, we want fertilizer, you know. So then we come to the issue of many issues that I know they have promised.
Let's take a break.
Teachers.
Let's take a break and then we talk about those ones after the break. 27 minutes to 9. Beatrice Elachi is a member of the National Assembly representing Dagoretti North constituency. She was the second speaker of County 47, right?
Yes.
And County 49 is on Showmax. Watch County 49 on Showmax. It's Bwatele County.
Yes.
There's a governor. Governor goes there and decides atakula pesa. Process happens. Governor is removed. Deputy governor takes over office. But the people look at governor and deputy governor as one and they say?
And they say
same. So when they take action on the deputy governor, she tries to say, but I'm the one. She's like, really? We are the ones. We are the ones.
Just sit here a minute and we'll tell you in a while.
Tutakushughulikia.
And for real, they did.
Watch County 49 on Showmax for as low as 760 shillings per month. It's good content, good Kenyan production.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I know the sun is out in Nairobi at least. As you tembea, be careful. Manchester United are trying to sign anyone. Watch out where your children are. Please hide yourselves.
Sugar and spice! I reached a point where suicide things were just going south completely. Something stopped me. It's God now, my mom's prayers.
Join me, Yolanda Mulo, and DJ Absolute every single weekday from 11 a.m.
Nairobi.
All right, the sun is up in Nairobi today. We will see highs of 25 and lows of 13 today. Cloudy conditions at 18 in Nakuru, highs of 23. 22 will be the high and mostly cloudy in Nyeri at 15. 17 and sunny conditions in Eldoret, highs of 22. The rain continues and the sun is shining at the same time. In Mombasa, highs of 28. Same thing's happening in Malindi. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 23. It's partly sunny at 22 in Kisumu, highs of 26. And we'll see highs of 30 in Dar es Salaam, where it's raining at 22. 10 degrees and cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 22 and lows of 8. And it's partly cloudy at 23 in Lagos, highs of 29. And we'll see highs of 32 in Kinshasa, where it's sunny. And we'll see lows of 22.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Not a traffic problem today. Most of the traffic that we'll see is bodies in the stadium. We will not see traffic on the roads, and we're not seeing any. We've not seen any earlier. And it looks like you'll be able to get where you're going today in a record time. In the CBD, there's a little bit of movement here and there, but nothing much. Let's take a look at the Thika Superhighway where nothing really is going on at all. Yeah. Let's keep an eye through the morning. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Keep telling us what's going on with you, where you are, just in case anything does go out of whack.
Spice FM, Nakuru. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
22 minutes to 9.
Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
We're talking about the Uhuru legacy and also projecting into the fifth administration of William Samoei Kipchirchir Arap Ruto. Hey. Oh, just hear you. So, are you going to Kasarani, Mheshimiwa?
No, I would have now been. I think people need to have been seated now. No, not in a bad way. Not that
not that you didn't receive an invitation.
Well, I would say I think they brought the invitations. It's only that I didn't pass through Parliament to pick it.
Last I heard, your neighbor KJ is the one who was handling invitation for members of Parliament.
Ah, okay. I didn't even know that.
Okay.
I'll be lying. But not in a bad way. I mean, I respect. I always say one thing. Respecting the president, I respect. Criticizing is a different issue. You know, when things are not good,
you tell him the
we
truth.
Critique. Yes. When they are okay, we say, yeah, Kenya is moving. So that's how
you view it.
I believe in it, yes.
So how are you going to operate in Parliament? Members of Parliament from the ODM were even speaking yesterday, led by Opiyo Wandayi and others, and saying, expect us to form a robust opposition in the House, to call out the government when it's not doing what it has promised its people, and to support the government when it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Exactly. I think that is the most important thing.
Do we have opportunity to actually have a robust opposition in the House?
As I said, you see, what we envisaged in our 2010 constitution was a Kenya that, yes, has a minority and a majority side, but more importantly, that serves the people. Because, for example, in the committees, so we have 15 members, so 8 will be the majority side, 7 will be the minority side. So you'll always go into committees to deal with everything that government needs. And so if you have agreed with your committee and you have passed the proposals that you need to pass, it means you have supported government. And most of the time, if it is of the good of the people, then you support. You stand in and support government. So that's what was envisaged. And it will be very wrong even for the president, Dr. William, to keep on saying you're in opposition. You're in opposition maybe at the executive side, but at the arm of legislation, you're not in opposition. You're parliament. Everything is equal. You'll have your majority leader, you'll have the minority leader, you'll have members in the committee, you'll have a chairman. That chairman does not look at anything but serves everyone. And it serves his committee and ensures in that committee you have achieved what government will need. So that's the most important thing. And anyway, now that you have counties, you see it's very different. If you start saying you have opposition and stay in opposition, I say it and I'll repeat. Does it mean all the counties that have opposition governors, you don't need to go there then? Yeah. If you start that route, then don't step there. Why are you going there and they're in the opposition? And the only thing they need is what the Constitution said. You must give them their money and they will work for their people. So if you're going to Mombasa to do what? It's in opposition.
You are the president.
No, that's why I'm saying when you're the president, you can't say you stay in your position and stay. No, you are the president. You're supposed to go across this country. You have national functions that are in those counties that are within opposition, and they must function from the national government, and they must work so that they support your GDP, support your economy, but also support across the country. But if we start that language, we are trying to tell someone who will start saying, oh, and Elachi, your home is not here. You have your home somewhere else where you people normally have the presidency. Go with your people and stay and take care of your people as us. We take care of our people. So it's not a good language. As a president, you are a president of Kenya. Kenya is a unitary state. If you want to now split it, is when you start a language where you say, oh, these ones are this. No, there's none. Even in the civil service, you have people who voted either way. So are you going to sack them all and put them in opposition? So those are some of... So a president should not be talking that language. Let the others, they can say,
But is it not important, Mheshimiwa, for everybody to remind you that you are in the minority and we expect you to play the opposition's role? And the opposition's role here is basically saying, even when matters come to a committee, your primary focus is the people and the people's interests.
Of course,
Whereas those in the majority, the 8 in the majority may be, singing to the tune of the executive, and the executive may just be coming up with a plan that you can see will not necessarily benefit the people. Then your point is to make sure that at that point, even if you're 7 out of 8, you stand strong and you say, no, this does not benefit the people.
No, you see, the good thing with politicians is one. And that's why I said how they work in committees is very different. Because We don't look at it at you are in executive or what. No. We look at it, is it benefiting your constituency? Yes. You, yes. You, yes. You, yes. And we pass it. And that's why I was saying, you can't say in Parliament, we will come on the floor of the House and do those things you are saying, which sometimes I find it, I will find
drama.
it, those dramas, I don't like that. I mean, not me. For me, I don't think I need drama. If I have accepted this report in my committee, then it will pass on the floor of the House. I don't need to bring drama in the floor of the House. If I don't want that report, I will do my minority report. And when I come on the floor of the House, I'll tell the Speaker, I've descended on this because of 1, 2, 3. And it will stay that way. Let it go on record. But let it not go, you feel this is wrong. Then you let it at because the majority have. Then when it comes on the floor of the House, you know very well it is going to pass. So you've not helped. And that is why when you're in the committee, ensure before it goes on the floor of the House, it is beneficial to the people. So that when it goes to the floor of the House, you agree, all of you. But when you are in that committee, I know, as in the opposition, we shall be more of ensuring whatever comes to the floor of the House is beneficial to the people of Kenya. If there's something that we feel is not, all of us at that time will agree that we are indeed refusing this. And so that time you'll know this one indeed is the government, that is the executive that is pushing. But anything that benefits Mwananchi, we shall stand firm. And anything that we feel we need to enrich so that it benefits Mwananchi, it is our duty when I'm in the committee to amend and tell them this one is not going like this. It has to go like this.
You know, the parliament that you belong to shouldn't have a very big problem in ensuring that they conduct themselves in a manner that the public who are their bosses and who elected them feel that their representation is actually beneficial. Because the parliament that preceded you set a really low bar.
Very.
Yes, so it shouldn't be very, very difficult, for the parliament that you're in to actually show that they are doing something. But also, the thing I don't understand is, why should those who are in government or who represent the majority feel that they can assign themselves duties of determining who should be in the opposition? I mean, if you're not on the side of those who have formed the government, automatically there's the assumption that you're in the opposition.
Yeah.
But you are saying that we don't have a structure for the opposition with our current constitution.
You remember BBI was to strengthen that and to bring in a very strong opposition where you ensure you have a shadow minister. All those things are there. But then it was to strengthen so that we relook at the constitution and re-amend that weakness that we brought in. Yeah, because even if, let's say for now, okay, you have a country where the presidency, they've left each other just with 200,000. Now, when you look at that, it is also a very sensitive country. And so you ask yourself, if you want to manage it, how do I balance? But you don't go to balance by now coming and saying, I don't want the handshake. Fine. But here, you have individual handshakes you're doing. And you realize I'm a government, I had a minority, and you come now pulling in so that you become a majority.
Supermajority.
You see? And that is why we have to strengthen that opposition. So that because when those Kenyans were electing you, they knew very well we believe in this ideology. But it seems Kenyans, we have not come to the level where when I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat. A Republican, a Republican. Or when I feel the Republicans are when I move with that ideology, knowing I have gone to the Democrats and I must believe in that ideology and run with that ideology, with the purpose of why did I believe in it. So in Kenya, we are doing it in convenience.
Yes.
So I go to the people, I say, I pick, I move.
Yes.
And then when I move, the next day, I forget, I told the people this, I am now in another world.
You go to the highest bidder.
And it is very unfortunate.
It's Kenyan.
It's Kenyan politics.
Maybe we should accept it. I mean, we saw it in the Moi times, in the Kibaki times, we've seen it in the Uhuru times, we are seeing it already in the Ruto times, even before Ruto became president.
So the best thing is, Kenyans must now come to terms and ask themselves, do we want to be going to elections for purposes of going to elections? Or we can just also decide, Rwanda has 7 years. I think we should just say 2 terms of a president and done. So that we don't fight and find ourselves, you can't do this, you can't speak to so and so. I don't know. It has to stop.
10 years and then...
Serve 10 years and leave. Leave Kenyans for another president. It should start. We must start thinking that way.
But I thought we already had that.
No, we have it, but we go into a very gross competition. And
we don't have a continuous 10 years. We have 10 years with a 5 year.
And we come out, we are very vulnerable. So you run this side, you run this side.
So you're saying
instead of going to another election and say choose me again, then we fight.
So instead of having 10 installments,
you just say one installment of 10 years.
Yeah.
And you know that thereafter it's done.
It's done.
The next one comes.
It's not a bad idea, actually. You know, the French had 7. What one has?
7.
Oh, it was 7.
Yeah, they have 7.
But their system is even more interesting than ours because the way it is structured, you are guaranteed to have a runoff. Guaranteed. Meaning this majority that we keep fighting over rarely happens. So you have to go for a rerun. Now, the rerun usually is where now you separate this from that.
Yeah, but I think in the rerun, for if we ever go to a rerun in Kenya.
We have already been to one rerun.
Well, it was not really a rerun.
Which one are you talking about?
When you have run for the election, it has been told to go away, and then you have a new one. That's a rerun. Yes.
The French one is a runoff.
Oh, it was not an election. I thought a rerun is where we compete and we did not get to 50+1.
So the top
two,
that's
two
a runoff.
Of us. Oh, that's a runoff.
That's a runoff.
Okay. Yeah, a rerun. Yes. That rerun.
Meaning you run again.
That is what, in fact, you see, I know our Azimio people are angry with the judiciary, with everything. But then, when I sat down and I looked at everything, I asked myself, in 2017, we gave you an opportunity. Everything we told you, you never did even one. You left the same referee, you left everyone. Then now you come.
To complain.
Not just to complain, you have a right to complain. And it was true. And indeed, everything was true. But then, how do you leave us in the end? I think that is what went into their mind. The only thing that I will pray that the judges should always do is just use judicial language. It's important. You safeguard your institution. Because when you use the words that were used, and now everyone takes it to ridicule and joke with it, because even as we will reach a point, we will use the same words, we shall be throwing them in the parliament as anyhow as you wish. It's not right, because I thought it's an institution where people come back and look at the archives and read and learn something. So I am hoping as they now do the final judgment, they will clean those words and give us judicial language where students can appreciate.
Given our political inclinations and the divide therein,
yes,
surely the problem with decisions that are made, whether it's in the Supreme Court or whether the IEBC, we tend to look at all these things with the tinted glasses, irrespective of where you are.
I know.
You're not clear-sighted. You don't sort of like... there's a tint to the instrument you're using to look at it. But it also tells us how it is our entire visions as Kenyans, politically speaking, are instrumentalized. We believe that what we know and want is what ought to be the truth. Now,
I know.
We may even disagree and we may even be right. But we're discussing it earlier on in the morning. There is a small detail of understanding the rule of law. it very rarely agrees with what you like or what you want.
Yes.
It may not even be the truth.
Yeah.
But it's a legal position.
Legal position.
Yes.
Yeah. No. For me, I that's what I'm saying. You know, when you go, that's the legal position. And because you went knowing there'll be an outcome.
Either way, yes.
You know,
Yes.
there'll be an outcome. And I think it is important. All I need to say, I salute Kenyans. They are the heroes. I mean, for real, that we can go through an election. I don't know how many times I spoke about it in the Great North before the election, because it was always a place where every time we finish elections, you are just seeing people running, houses are burning, I don't know what. And I mean, that one, I salute Kenyans. I salute Kenyans. And by the way, I was telling people, love Uhuru, hate him. If there's an art he learned from us, he knew where to cool down and ensure everything will move smoothly, and he will hand over a country with no bloodshed, with no bullet, with no nothing. And he has. So you will love him, you will hate him, the world will remember him. That journalists came from CNN, Al Jazeera,
and they went back.
Everywhere. They went back with no story. Hey, that one alone, they will remember.
Would you say that is his enduring legacy? Because yes, indeed,
That's
he will be at Uhuru at Kasarani today.
Legacy.
He said when he took over that, we've got to come to an end of this
And he has
election
done it.
cycles.
He has done
We've
it.
actually gone into an election and come out of an election.
Exactly. And he knew. So people will fight him. His community will fight him, because of handshake. I want to tell them today, thank you, Uhuru. You are safe with the handshake. You can do business in Mombasa. You can do business in Kisumu. You can do business in everywhere. You are safe. Thank him. If there's anything else you don't want about his roads and I don't know what, just thank him for that. That you are in Trans Nzoia and nobody looked at you and said you are a Luo, Kikuyu, Balu. No. They just know you live in Trans Nzoia and you're in Trans Nzoia. Thank him for that. Central people, Mount Kenya people, thank your outgoing president that he has left in Rift Valley. There's no bloodshed. And he was smart. He knew you will not leave with Ruto. You will stay with him. He knew. And so he said, this other country where people decided to live, let me take care of it. So even President Ruto should appreciate Uhuru for that. Yes. Unless he had a different plan where during that time he wanted to see Kenya going in cuckoos. Because I've never understood. I need to ask them one day, what did you want for Kenya? Those who are in Jubilee, who decided now we started UDA, and every day you poke the president, you poke Raila, you poke everyone. Did you want the country to collapse? Is that the prayer in the little circles you had? Because nobody has understood to date. It's only Uhuru who knew I should hold this country and I can hold this one. I'm with him. If he abuses me, does everything fine. You abuse me, you take me, you tell me I'm fine, but I'm joined with you. But this other one, let me be there to ensure things work.
Mheshimiwa, I have a different perspective. I agree with what you're saying, but my perspective is that those who employ the politicians are the ones who have shown their maturity.
Yeah.
It is us, the citizen, it is us, the voter, who have shown our leaders that actually we are your bosses and we don't want problems. So please don't create it for us. Just go and do what we've asked you to do and what we elected you to do. That's it.
Now let me tell you, and I'll tell you now and tell you. There is where I will tell you, yes, you are the bosses, but trust me. Trust me. There's a way politicians, I've realized it is us, by the way, who just banned the country. And I'm telling you, if anyone just said, tap, oh no, don't even go there. Don't. See, I have them. Every day I hear how they speak, how they say, and I keep on speaking as a mother. No. But now they have appreciated At least going forward, they will never think about it again. They've also realized, we have been used badly.
There's more to
gain.
And
so, but I'm telling you, to disorganize a country, it's very easy politicians to disorganize. I mean, we disorganized. We weren't good. We disorganized. We made people hate each other. With up to today, if anyone asks, what was this that was the problem?
You can't tell.
We have left without knowing the problem.
Yeah. Mheshimiwa, let's take a break. Let's get to the news. Live on SpiceFM and KTN Home is Mheshimiwa Beatrice Alachi, the MP for Dagoretti North constituency. Keep it here for more conversations. Bill Okero joins us next.
Good morning. This is Newswire. I am Stephanie Wangari. Commotion rocked the Moi International Sports Centre in Kasarani as hundreds of Kenyans attending the inauguration of President-elect William Ruto broke into the stadium. Minutes past 6 a.m., police said they were unable to control the crowd, which broke the stadium's fences and trooped in without being frisked. Videos from the event showed hordes of people streaming into the stadium, screaming hysterically. Some sustained injuries, with Red Cross personnel seen evacuating the casualties out of the scene. Transport CES James Macharia and his energy and petroleum counterpart Monica Juma are among cabinet secretaries who have arrived for the inauguration of President-elect William Ruto. All guests, some 2,500 VIPs and 20 heads of states, are expected to be seated by 10 a.m., after which the historical event will begin. Ruto and his deputy-elect Rigathi Gachagua are expected to be sworn in between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. About 20 heads of state are expected at the inauguration ceremony. Deputy President-elect Rigathi Gachagua was earlier seen preparing for the big day with a workout session at his home in Karen. Speaking to KTN News, Gachagua has expressed gratitude to God for according him the opportunity to serve.
I'm a first-time MP, but I don't think God, in his wisdom takes such considerations. God knows whom to use to help his people. If it is the will of God that Rigathi Gachagua, a one-time MP, an ordinary child, a son of Mau, be the one to be given responsibility to help Dr. William Ruto on the economic liberation of this country, so be it, and may the will of God be honored.
Gachagua says today marks the beginning of freedom in the country.
Dr. Ruto and I and our families are indeed very excited. This is a very big day for us. I am told Kasarani is already packed. There is a new wave of freedom. You know, I'm told by those who are there in 1963 that they are feeling the way they felt then. It's unbelievable that we are coming from a country that had degenerated into a police state with a lot of dictatorship, and today people are free.
On her part, Second Lady Dorcas Rigathi, who was preparing herself ahead of the inauguration, says she is ready to support her husband as he starts this journey.
I feel excited, and I think I have a good husband. And the way he has worked for the 4 years, day and night, and I'm excited also for him, and to see that whatever he has been working for is just about to happen. I'm really excited for him and for myself and for the family and the family of Kenya.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga will not attend President-elect William Ruto's inauguration today at the Moi Sports Centre, Kasarani. In a statement, Raila says he received an invitation but was not available because he is out of the country. Additionally, he maintained that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission did not conduct a free and fair election. President Uhuru Kenyatta, on his part, is expected at the ceremony to hand over tools of power and has since congratulated his successor.
As a hallmark of our democracy, therefore, I will, before God and you, my fellow countrymen, hand over the instruments of power to our new president at the Moi International Sports Centre, Kasarani. And with that, the fourth administration will come to an end and the tenure of the fifth administration will begin.
Activist Boniface Mwangi says Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition's election loss was largely owed to a disorganized team. Mwangi, who was part of the team volunteering in the campaign secretariat for the Raila Martha ticket, said he supported them because their principles aligned with what he stood for. In a statement on his Facebook page, Mwangi slammed the coalition's structure, claiming Azimio la Umoja's overconfidence led to the presidential election loss. Additionally, he said the coalition put a lot of faith in Uhuru Kenyatta's backing and was more confident about emerging victorious rather than focusing on plans to help them in the August 9th election. That's your news at the top of the hour. My name is Stephanie Wangari.
All right, we're not going to have an issue with traffic today. That we've established for a while now. A little bit of a hold up here and there on Outer Ring as you're going into the direction of the Thika Superhighway. But apart from that, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. We haven't seen any incidents that we should keep note of today. But just in case, do let us know through the morning on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes.
All right,
in
how are you
punching
doing?
up,
It's 7
not
minutes
down.
after 9. This is Kenya's
This
biggest
is The
conversation. It
Situation.
continues. Happy holiday. It's the 13th day of September 2022, the day that we usher in the 5th administration of the Republic by witnessing the swearing in of William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua as President and Deputy President, respectively. We are joined by a new guest in the studio, the Honorable Bill Okero, former Senator for Mandera. He is here with us alongside Beatrice Elachi, who also stays for this conversation. We want to analyze the Uhuru years, look into the Kibaki years before that, and then see if we can project what we should expect from the Ruto presidency. CT has the day's proverb.
Yes. This is our final proverb.
Final now, this one. Now this
for
is
this
final.
season.
Okay.
From Chad. If you always walk down the same path, you will go where you've been before.
What is that? Mheshimiwa Bilo, I mean, it's like saying, it's such an obvious thing.
Isn't it just?
It's like saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you.
Any road. That's a good one.
That's a good one now.
If you don't know where you're going, any road
Will take you
will take you.
Take you there.
This one is, if you keep going.
If you always walk down the same path, you'll go where you've been before.
Or it's like saying, if you do things the same way, do not expect different results.
Different results.
Yeah.
It is their way of saying it that way.
Yes.
Can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Exactly.
The result will always be the same. Mheshimiwa, how are you?
I'm well, Eric.
Good to see you. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation again.
Yeah.
It's been a while, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was before the election.
Yes. Before your grilling session.
Oh, wow.
Oh, before that one too. Well, were you here when I was on leave? I think you were.
No, we were here together.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while.
If you on leave, Eric, you didn't tell us because you were here.
Your body was here.
Yes.
Buana. Buana. So, Mheshimiwa, you are in the second Senate of the Republic.
First.
See, they say the first one is that 1963 one.
Okay. Is that it?
I was like, huh? They're saying
the new constitution is the first Senate.
Under the new constitution, this is the first Senate.
Yeah.
You are there alongside Beatrice Elachi, who was also in the same. And when people saw each other, you were saying hello to each other, calling each other boss, chairman, whip, boss. Okay, sawa. Both of you are here. Before you went to Senate, you had also served in the National Assembly. And those were the Kibaki years. So you are in a National Assembly that had one president. You are in a Senate that had a different president. And now you're here as an elder statesman, witnessing a new president taking office. We are here to talk about the differences that we've seen with those presidencies, and then what we expect to see into the next president. Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president-elect, is about to leave Karen, heading towards Kasarani. The president-elect also will be leaving Karen shortly, heading towards Kasarani. After that, they move to State House and Karen, respectively. That's where the residences will be. And their offices, perhaps. If you look at what Uhuru has done, he has operated mostly from State House. Good thing or bad thing?
Bad thing.
Why?
I remember one time, Beatrice was there. We had a meeting, a parliamentary group meeting with the President Uhuru. And I remember telling him that he's probably the most inaccessible president this country has ever had, because he was always holed up in his State House. And if leaders wanted to meet him, it would be very difficult. You know, that's the wisdom behind having Harambee House office. That's where the president should roll up his sleeves and be working from. And Kenyans, you know, leaders and even other state officers, the public should have access to him, so that you know, those who are by law required to report to him, those whom he's required to, you know, speak to in terms of their performance and so forth, and leaders who also need to interact with the president, particularly the political leaders. And this is where there was a disconnect, a huge disconnect between the political leaders who supported him and the president, because you need to, you know, there are certain pledges that have been made when you were campaigning together by the people, you know, for the people, and you need to meet the president. You need to apprise him of what's going on in your area. You need to, but State House is not a really accessible place. You can only go there by appointment, and even then it's not easy to get an appointment. You know, you can ask any leader in this country how many times you've been to State House. It's probably when there is a meeting called by the president himself. That's probably the only time you'll have, unless you're in one of the kitchen cabinet, if you will. But very few, again, in terms of Uhuru's style of leadership. You would find it hard to know which political leader would be his kitchen cabinet. Were always people, mostly people outside the political leadership. So that disconnect allowed his deputy to outshine him, because the Harambee House annex was always available. At any time you walked in, you didn't need an appointment. You just walk in. You know, MPs are always there. You know, and he sees anyone who walks in. So I think that accessibility for a leadership is also important, particularly in a country where politics plays a significant role in their lives.
Ask this question, Mheshimiwa. But now that was the role of Dr. William Ruto as the deputy president. Now, as the president, is it possible to do the same thing?
To be as accessible as
he
you know,
was.
every time you're sitting at your waiting room, you're walking out of your waiting room, there are 15 people all wanting to see you.
Absolutely not. He cannot do what he was doing when he was the president. But he can do a lot better than what Uhuru did in terms of accessibility. And again, you see the lifestyle of the individual also makes a huge difference. I know, I've worked with these people. I mean, when we were in Kanu, in the opposition together in the first parliament in 2003, William Ruto is someone who is up at 4 a.m. At 6, he'll be seated in the office. So you would expect, you know, somebody who gets to work that early to also have some free time, you know, in terms of being able to meet. And you're not meeting with, you know, people for stories. I mean, you're meeting people so that you can connect and find out what is so that you're not out of touch with reality.
It's work related.
Yeah, it's work related. You need to also be in touch with the reality, so that when you, even as you deal with the issues of the nation, you need to know what's going on in different parts of the. You remember how Moi used to be. He would know. He had a way of connecting with his DCs in the remotest of places. So I think that interaction is critical, and I think he will still have to find some time. But of course, not as freely as he was when he was a deputy president.
When he becomes president, things change.
Things change.
Because you interacted with the president, of course, he appointed you as a chief administrative secretary. That is giving you some executive role and functions. How many times did you end up meeting with him? As a CAS?
Wow. As a CAS?
Yeah, like just randomly. Things are happening and I need to apprise my president.
No.
You go in.
You can't.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
How does it work?
Well, it depends. I think I want to agree with Bilo that I know President Dr. William will be hands-on, and he will be available, by the way. Him, I know you can't sabotage him. That's the good thing with him. You cannot sabotage him. He will come to your office. He will walk into that office. He will... He'll want to know what's going on.
That's how it is.
Yeah, and so that's the difference between the two. Uhuru has a style of leadership where he trusts too much. So, and when he trusts you, he hands everything over to you. Now do it. But that's what has also given him all these challenges he faces. He has faced as he goes, And so that's the difference between the two. The other thing is that he will be available to meet his people, by the way. He will be available to meet his political party. You cannot sabotage the political party. Ruto will be available. He will ensure that they have PGs, they will work. That was the difference between the two. Even when you are the president, you should remember you came through a political party, and so you must ensure at least once in a while you meet the leaders of the political party and your leaders.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
So at what point do you begin delegation, and at what point do you begin neglecting duties?
Well, I think it is how, you can't neglect duties. You can't neglect duties. You can only, that's why I say that style of leadership. I think for us, I would say we having worked with President William Ruto, we learned some lessons from him. And that's how we run also our offices. That in politics, you don't just let things that they will move. No. In politics, you follow. You look at every step, how things are moving. Because you have people who are very deceitful. You have people who, their goal was just one. I am not that I like him. I am supporting so that because he's there, I will go and make money. So when you make money, you are done. You made the money. And so you start talking as if you've come from Mars. You forgot you are on earth with others. And that is the problem with the men who surrounded Uhuru. You talk a language that people will wonder, hey, and you make people now start feeling very angered. Why are we even with you? Why are you even? And so when you move, they decide to move. But so that is one thing that one of the things that Daktari does is that when he knows Bilo and he has listened and heard, he's the one who is about to rock him. He will face him. He doesn't run away and use a
proxy.
No. Just face you and say, why are you doing this?
What's up?
So you either agree or disagree with him.
Mheshimiwa, would the two of you say that President Kibaki was hands-on or hands-off?
Let me say.
Very hands-on is only that he was very smart. He gave people an opportunity to work. But then, before you do those things, he would read. You come with a paper to Kibaki and
depends.
present.
See, in his first 5 years, Uhuru Kibaki was worse than Uhuru. He was completely hands-off. And you remember, Uhuru was our party leader. And I was the shadow finance minister, I know. And Uhuru, I remember, as our chairman saying in Parliament, you remember that famous statement, Uhuru said, this is a hands-off, ears off. You know, that was the first time of the president, when his lieutenants were the ones who were running the show. But in the second term, Uhuru Kibaki was literally running everything from Harambee House, and he was more hands-on. And the thing about being hands-on is not necessarily the one-to-one, but he had regular cabinet meetings in his second term, you know, and cabinet meetings where you can at least hold your officers to account. Here is Uhuru, where cabinet meetings are few and far between. Probably one meeting this year and another one probably towards the end of the year. And I think it had nothing to do with. I think the question you asked about delegation. You delegate. Delegation is part of management, you know. But I don't think for Uhuru it was delegation per se. I think he just wasn't available. His time was largely taken up by his own social lifestyle, if you will, and so he wasn't.
So he wasn't available for the job.
Readily available, yes, to hold. You know, when you delegate, you need to
be receiving reports. You need to be.
Because ultimately you're still responsible.
Do I hear you to be saying that in addition to his duties as the president, he had other competing duties?
Of course. I mean, you know it. I know it.
If we look at the incoming administration, if we look at the incoming administration, as we see the way in which things played out during the campaign, it looks as though there is an expectation on the sides of those who rallied themselves around soon-to-be President William Ruto, and that they expect that there will be reciprocity for their support. Now, having worked with, during the campaigns, having worked with him, would you see that he will appoint people to serve in positions based on their capacity to deliver, or on this assumed reciprocity because of their support from the campaign?
I think one of the main challenge William Ruto will face, in my view, is how to manage expectations, because it's really insurmountable. The amount of expectations he created across the country in the last few years, campaigning, how he's going to handle that is going to be his biggest nightmare. On the question you asked, I think he's a politician. And this is a gentleman who focuses more on the political aspects of these things than anything else. And I don't think he will, in that regard, go for technocrats per se and leave out, the
his
political, he will have to support his political supporters. He'll have to appoint people on political, reciprocity. He'll have to balance regional interests. He has to balance people on the basis of, the roles that they played, and he has to. I can assure you.
So then, will he still be hands-on? The way you talk about him being hands-on, Beatrice says, he can walk into your office and ask you, "Hey, what's going on?" Will he then be able to wield that same hand over his friends? Because this is essentially what it is. I'm going to offer CT a job because of the support that he accorded me. And then here I am, and I'm going to come and crack the whip over the same gentleman. Will he be able to do that?
As the British say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We will see it, but I can tell you, it's easy to say something now when you're campaigning, but it's not going to be easy to
deliver
to implement that, and those are the challenges that he's going to face. Because I don't think William, you've seen in the campaign, has been overprotective of his supporters. Even those who have been charged, with the corruption in court cases, he has always stood by them saying, no, these guys are being victimized. It's political persecution and so forth. So I think you've seen how he has jumped into issues on the Kim Warrior and all those things. And he's not a guy who will stand by in terms of lending support to his political supporters. But we'll see whether that changes, because this now is different. I mean, it's easy to say that during campaigns and when you're a DP, but when you are the one to whom everything, the buck stops. So
things are going to be tough.
Things are not going to be that easy.
I think one of the toughest ones that he has to face immediately is the promise that he made, 50% of my cabinet is going to be women. Now, if you look at the number of people who've been campaigning with him and alongside him, many of them are men. So we are saying about all those men plus the other technocrats are basically fighting for 11 positions at the senior most level.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, he promised. He has to deliver.
That one should be easy for him to deliver.
Yeah.
Appointing 11 women to cabinet.
Yeah. Appointing 11 is not a problem.
It's not a problem.
It's which 11 men?
Which 11 men will he choose? Which 11 will he choose from the myriad of men that are waiting and hoping?
He needs to tell some of them to go and apply as principal secretaries. I saw they had given an advice.
Yes, PSC has.
What I didn't understand, I thought principal secretaries, are they normally on contract or they're public servants? I don't know.
It's on contract. Their tenure ends. It's a 5-year tenure.
I thought CSs are the ones who go as 5 years.
It's going to be a very delicate balancing act for him, because there are a lot of people who expect to join a cabinet. But we remember when Uhuru and Ruto started in 2013. They ended up picking a lot of bureaucrats, and they didn't have many of their supporters in the cabinet.
They only picked 2,
and they insisted that they want, people who are from public service employees or people who are from the private sector, technocrats. But so I don't think he'll have difficulty. The political supporters will likely end up in other state institutions or state corporations, the other offices, embassies and other places. And so there are many ways in which he can reward them. But it's not going to be easy. Yes, putting half the cabinet for the ladies, and the guys believe that is their job.
I sometimes think we are the ones who.
But if you can take women will work.
Okay.
That one I'll support. I'll stand with President.
Do you know what you've just said, Mheshimiwa? You know what Mheshimiwa has just said? That these men won't work. That's exactly what you've just said.
They won't work. They're going for business. And I'll tell the president, Dr. William, men are coming for the business. Give women, they will work for you.
But consider also, are we then not putting the cart before the horse for those in leadership, saying they can do this or they can't do this? Let me ask. If you're the president and it's incumbent upon you to determine who it is who takes certain positions, do you really need to apologize to people for the decisions you're going to make? Or do you need this balancing act that we are talking about? Yes, there is a balancing act. But there's a balancing act if you're not clear about what it is you want people to do or what it is you want to achieve. I'm saying in a leadership position, there'll be clarity as to what you want to achieve and as to whom you think will help you achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So the decision, in my mind, yes, the optics seem difficult, but is it really that difficult for the person who is in that position?
I think it is. This constitution requires a number of factors to be taken into consideration when you are appointing cabinet secretaries. Unlike the previous constitution, it's not about politics. You must have some sort of qualification relevant to the ministry that you're going to be given. And so here you have to choose from those people, those who have relevant experience, because they have to go to parliament. Again, for vetting, this is again something that was not there before. So you just can't appoint Eric. You have to see whether Eric can go through parliament. And you've seen all the fuss about qualifications and past history. Thirdly, there is the issue of integrity. I mean, this election was. There was a lot about integrity in this election, you remember. And so he wants to also disprove what Azimio and others have been saying about his integrity. So he has to try and take that into account and get people who have not been implicated one way or the other So I think there are many factors. That's why I'm saying.
And regional balance, like you said.
Yeah?
And regional balance.
And regional balance is the fourth one. The Constitution requires you to look at, regional and ethnic and other considerations when you are making appointments to state office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you look at all that, then the 11 men and the 11 women will have to be...
It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
I personally see William Ruto playing a game with the public like he did with the choice of running mate. He already knows who he's going to appoint to his cabinet by now. He knows.
Yeah.
But he will play that game with us, publicly, just allowing people to do the shuffling up here and there, and then final minute comes and says, you see now the people want us to go this way. That same game that he played with at 48 hours of indecision in Karen before he landed on Rigathi Gachagua. Oh, come on. I never bought that for a single minute. That he polls here, polls there. Professor Kithure Kindiki is emerging leader. Oh, no, let's do another poll. Kithure Kindiki, hey, how about we call the MPs and ask them? Another poll.
What do you think?
You too. Why don't you agree as gentlemen?
Eric,
they don't agree.
Eric, what you've just spoken, what you've said in many words, is that the deputy president, the president-elect, and soon-to-be president understood public participation.
Incidentally, it's not only William Ruto who was playing that game. I think Azimio also.
Azimio was playing the same.
It was known weeks and months earlier that Martha Karua was going to be the deputy.
So these interviews were just a farce.
But certain
it's
things.
Good to do them.
It's a PR number one, but two, it's not. They're not doing it for public participation, but it's more of a PR, like you said, to try and convince Kenyans that they have really gone out of their way to look at.
But
all
I think
options.
as the president, I will allow him to choose who he wants. Reasons are Uhuru did the best he could do, and look at how they performed, and look at how they plundered him into a lot of challenges. So for me, President William Ruto should choose who he feels, first of all, is loyal. Let me now start from there. Loyal. And this loyal person must work, but must work also like a politician, so that you understand the ground.
Eric, loyalty breeds psychophancy.
Exactly.
And we've seen quite a bit of that even in Uhuru's last 5 years. I don't think that's what we want. We have seen it during Moi, and we don't want. We've seen zero to psychophancy during the time of Kibaki, and the performance was better. You only need someone who really needs to hold people to account, and you need, that's what is important. Leaving people to do whatever they want, hands off completely is what would put this country in trouble. But I think the new president may overlook some of the 4 items we mentioned. For example, he has control of both houses of parliament. So he can. I see a situation where he would probably not put a lot of emphasis on the issues of integrity,
No.
especially if there has been no conviction.
Yeah.
That Beatrice has been mentioned in some report of the Auditor General. They might, if there's no conviction, they would argue that's not ground for not appointing Beatrice into the cabinet. He might look at that, and he might also. Because he has the House, the Parliament, to approve all those. Parliament is where those requirements can be put to test. That's where you don't rubber stamp. Unfortunately, in the 5 years of Uhuru, the Parliament became a rubber stamp, literally. And we know, Beatrice knows, we were there, that National Assembly was influenced by State House to approve those appointments, whether or not those people are
suitable or not.
Not only cabinet, but you've seen even some various commissions and so forth. So I think that is the sad thing. And then you come around, and the one I can remember most, was like Chebukati. You remember? He was not among the top names really that should have been considered for appointment as the chairman. But on the, when you look at political expediency, you look at your own other interests, and you tell Parliament, I want that guy. So if Parliament carries out its oversight responsibility independently. We can see a lot of change in this country.
But you've already preempted that and said
I have preempted
it's unlikely.
I have preempted
it's unlikely that this will happen.
Unlikely.
Let's take a break. Bwana Architect is saying, kindly ask the guests what they think the new administration will do in the fight against corruption, if at all there will be any attempt to fight corruption. We'll talk about that when we come back out of this break. Bill Okero, former senator, and the Great North MP Beatrice Elachi are our guests this morning. We are talking about the Uhuru legacy, looking forward into the William Ruto presidency. 26 minutes to 10. Remember, the 25th of this month, we are all heading to... Oh, that's not your constituency, Beatrice. That is Langata constituency. Okay, Racecourse. That's Racecourse. Racecourse is Jalango's constituency.
Racecourse? No, I think it's KJ's.
That's south. That's the Greater South.
Yeah, that's the Greater South.
Okay, so we're heading there on the 25th.
We're going to your neighbours.
Yeah.
For the Concours d'Elegance. That's happening on the 25th of September. Yes. And I have my big red hat already, and CT's got vintage vehicles already to portray. And it'll be a great morning into afternoon of, people speaking like this and looking at these great vehicles, And
wearing hats like what again?
Why must people speak like that and looking at old vehicles?
You can't really speak like this when you're talking about a vehicle that looks like that.
And the race course.
Exactly.
Okay, 25 minutes to 10. We'll be back shortly.
If I look at the Premier League table, Manchester City is on top. Arsenal, number 2 in the table. Absolutely. How did Brentford get to number 3 in the Premier League table? They beat us like Burkenge.
Sugar and spice. What's your love language, French?
My love language is I want to be left alone.
What can't you compromise on?
Quality time and acts of service. Words of affirmation tutapata hata kanisani.
We do this
11 to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. DJ Absolute and
Yolanda Mulwa
on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay. We're looking at sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 14. 18 degrees and sunny in Nakuru. It's 22 that'll be the high in Nyeri, where it's sunny at 16. And we'll see highs of 22 in a mostly cloudy Eldoret as well. The rain continues in Mombasa at 26. It's also raining at 27 in Malindi. 23 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 26. And we'll see highs of 26 in Kakamega as well. Looking out to Kampala, it's 21 degrees. It's 25 and sunny in Dar es Salaam. 11 degrees and partly sunny in Johannesburg. We'll see highs of 21 and 29 will be the high in a rainy Lagos. It's sunny at 23 in Kinshasa, highs of 32. 32 will be the high in a sunny Beijing going into Tuesday evening. It's raining in Paris at 19 and cloudy in London at 18. 23 and cloudy Monday night in New York. Coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 28 and lows of 17.
Spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
Traffic situation, not really a situation today. We will see some holdups here and there on some of the major roads in the country, and in the city rather, because of VIP guests moving in and out from the airport going towards Kasarani. Apart from that, you shouldn't have too much of an issue. We're looking at a little bit here and there, around that Pangani underpass. But, most folks using the expressway today, so it should not be an issue. Through the morning, talk to us on SpiceFM. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
All right,
Nairobi.
we continue the conversation. 22 minutes to 10. Our guest this morning, Beatrice Elachi, MP, the Great North, and former Senator Bill Okero. We're looking into the future and seeing if we can predict how the fifth administration of the Republic will be like. First question here on corruption. Do you think there will be an attempt to fight corruption, Beatrice?
I wouldn't say there would be an attempt. I think, first of all, the question we should be asking ourselves is we should first look through that process, whether first the institutions will be there, and these institutions will be able to even come out strongly and deal with graft. But if we will have institutions and we are saying we are dealing with graft and those institutions are very weak, their mechanisms of dealing with that, then for me, if I'm asked today, you know, I would say President William Ruto, give amnesty to these people now. Yeah.
Start on a clean slate.
Yeah, you give amnesty and tell people who you know they have money, they have taken, to bring back the money. Yeah? And if you have their properties in asset recovery, it is time you give back some of those, because some of our houses of people were... Start on a clean slate. Then we say, after 6 months, you are got in corruption, how do we deal with you? Because we don't want to deal with you. In 5 years, you are still there being dealt with. And you stole, you finished, and that's what has been happening. And it became a thorn in the flesh on themselves again, with Uhuru trying, but could not do anything. He realized you can't even touch. When you touch your community, and it goes uproar on you. So how are they going to deal with it? And as I said when I started in the morning, and I know Bilo is not here, I said, we are in Jubilee. Don't give us, these are just names. But in terms of our mind thinking, of our manifesto, it is the same manifesto.
This is a continuation of the last 9 years. It's a
continuation. So we have to see this continuation to benefit now people. And we should not question so much some of the things. So for craft, many people felt that the regime of Uhuru decided if they want to deal with you, they bring craft. If they need you, you come closer to them. So you can't fight craft like that. I mean, surely, the best we can just tell ourselves is, can we have an amnesty of 6 months, start this thing afresh, tell every Kenyan who has something outside there, bring it back home.
Bilo was shocked when he said amnesty.
I know, but instead of hiding the word amnesty, that's what is going to happen. Because by tomorrow, I know, I don't know, but my mind is telling me. My mind is telling me the first stop will be at the DCI. That's what my mind tells me. How I look at things.
It's not your mind; is what the president-elect said.
First person.
Day after swearing is DCI.
Yes.
EACC.
So when you go to DCI, then you go to EACC, then you need to ask yourself, as I go there, am I going to re-energize as I clean? Because you'll clean first. Yeah. So as you clean, give amnesty also for the cleaning. So that these institutions are clean, amnesty is there. You as a Kenyan, if you know you have stolen money, yeah, let me tell you. You see...
You actually see them returning money first.
No, they won't return the money. But I'm just saying, give an amnesty, because in what you're doing, it's like you've already given that amnesty, to be very honest. Because what you're saying, every Kenyan who was taken to the anti-corruption was a Kenyan that had not stolen, mismanaged, or done anything. And so all of them, you want first of them to come out of this institution. You want people to get back their properties. Aren't you giving already that amnesty? So if it is better to now just use straight the law, amnesty for 6 months. After that, if you are found going to EACC, don't question Dr.
It's a good thought, but what possible reason or what possible pressure would you have if you're the president? You control both houses. So legislation, the decision-making process is at your behest. You see, let me explain why I'm taking this train of thought. I'm looking at ANC, probably Africa's oldest political party. 1994, they just fall short of a 2/3 majority, 62% of the vote. Okay? You give it 20 years. That was them 20 years. You look at the rating and the voting dropping. In 2021, they got below 50% for the first time. And they lost major towns. It had been coming. But it was because of mismanagement, of graft, and everything that you can think of. Other parties that nobody even gave any time of day started gaining prominence. Now I'm saying, there is a trap and there's a problem when you have that sort of majority. Because the check and balance that ordinarily would be there would not be there. And if you know our Kenyans, forgive me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway, you politicians, and the wind capacity that you seem to have, moving in whatever direction the wind blows, even when it isn't blowing, you still move in that direction. When somebody has that amount of power, it isn't difficult to tell where the politicians will lean towards. You don't even need to coerce people.
But you see, when you're doing your campaigns, if you want to now stand and uphold and swear on the Bible, when you were campaigning, what was your message? Your messaging was one, that Kenyans were victimized. Kenyans, those who were taken to court, were not just taken to court because they had done what they have done, but it was because they were not supporting government. So we changed the narrative that this is
it wasn't a fight against
issue,
corruption, it was a fight against individuals.
And made it that you, because of being in the anti-corruption, it's because you are fighting government. So you come on our side, we will safeguard you.
Actually, it's not
so
because
you
you're fighting, it's because you're supporting me.
That's it. Yeah, everyone who supported the president was being victimized because of that. And so you took them to protect them. So how are you taking them back to these institutions of graft?
Same institutions.
Give them amnesty.
Bilo, what do you think?
No, I have a different view. I think William Ruto is in the situation where Kibaki was in 2003. You know, a very rare opportunity when you have the entire public mood, you know, against graft and the expectations are high. Two, you have a lot of support, really, you know, on the ground, particularly from ordinary Kenyans.
Including the opposition.
Including even the opposition that will probably, after today, will be more or less decimated. So I think he has that opportunity then with that goodwill. You know, he has the goodwill the way Kibaki had to act. Kibaki didn't act, you remember, in his first 5 years. Within months, they were in Anglo leasing, and 5 of his cabinet ministers were the casualties. That temptation is there that when you have got into power, those around will want to try and make money immediately. You know, that temptation would be there. That's something he needs to fight. And number two, he has come out very clearly in his manifesto. And I think he's the kind of person who doesn't want to be seen to fail. You know, there are people who want to be seen to have succeeded.
Yeah.
And since the biggest challenge has been what they call state capture, you know, where government has been used to favor you, you know, to make money or business. So I think this gentleman has an opportunity, and I see him trying to act in that regard. One. Two, the institutions have been compromised. And there's no, everyone knows that those institutions have been really compromised, and they were acting, you know, the actions were more or less weaponized and so forth. But I think he has an opportunity, as he said very clearly, that one, he's going to empower them in terms of resources. And two, he has an opportunity to change them. You know, the people who are running the leadership in those institutions. And therefore, and get them to start biting hard on at least new corruption. I don't want to say amnesty, but I want to say he can stop new corruption.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Take an amnesty and stop.
Without even giving amnesty, those old ones can still remain continue.
Which ones?
Draw the line.
The ones that are going on can go on. But he must stop new
corruption.
Listen, Bilo, you bring up the resource issue, and I think that's a big one today. That, you know, this is nice, the fanfare, the inauguration, as important as it is. I mean, bringing in a new president and, you know, taking the oath of office. But then it's not an envious position either, because he takes on a country that is heavily in debt, takes on a country where the cost of living is right now extremely high. And I'm looking at these, it just hit me right now that I'm looking at these crowds of people at Kasarani who are going to wake up tomorrow morning, even as they cheer and the whole country is in this jubilant mode. They're going to wake up tomorrow morning and the expectation is going to be, all right, now feed us. 1, 2, there's this huge debt. Number 3, the question is there have been promises that unfortunately are hedged on heavy funding. Heavy funding. These promises that
Hustlers
have been made.
own their money.
People voted. People came out in droves because they knew. Look, we put our vote here. Our life is going to get better, and this betterment of life, it comes with the spending of the shilling, and it said that there's none right now. You're a money man, below. So
where's the money?
Where's the money? How do you think that he's really going to be able to handle this?
When I was asked that question a few years ago, I think 2018, I said the money is with the Chinese. But if you look at my article today, that's the heading. It says Kenyans need food on the table right now.
Yes.
And I think tomorrow. Let's start from tomorrow. When he reports to office, he needs to do something with the fuel. Because if that subsidy goes, you'll be at 200 shillings a litre plus. In fact, I'm told that things like diesel is almost 66 shillings. The subsidy is 66 shillings. So that will take it over 200. So on the food, you already said yesterday, he also has to get that subsidy back. But and on power and so many, of course, the expectations are huge. This is what I said, that is the biggest challenge, managing those expectations. But, the good thing, let me tell you, this government of Uhuru, the one thing that they've been doing is the collection of tax. Collection of taxes has been improving, largely because of duties and VATs at the ports, because of cost of raw materials and so forth. And they have the money. The part of that money, or a huge chunk of that money, 60-70% of it will go to service loans. But I think what he needs to do, which Uhuru was not doing, is to stop what Uhuru was calling legacy projects. Wasting money on projects, not wasting putting money in projects that are not a priority. And so there was nothing left. Uhuru had no time about bread and butter issues. Uhuru doesn't know about this cabbage on the streets. Uhuru knows about, he wants
Expressway and the railway.
How to get to the airport.
Yeah. And Kenyans can't afford the 300 shillings that it takes to go from JKIA to Westlands.
50 billion shillings in Lamu, which is a white elephant.
Well, that was
railways,
by
that's
Kibaki,
what you guys said is a road to nowhere. The thing is, the whole thing about revenue, the governments do not have the mandate to tax people the way they want. You tax as the people want, and that is why Parliament is there. You remember when we were in school, those things about there's no representation without tax, there's no taxation without representation. The essence of tax is you collect the amount that the people want to pay, so that they can remain with something in their pocket to run their lives. But when your representatives have given up on that, and they approve every project that comes, and then so the expenditure was huge. There was a huge budget deficit. The government was borrowing because of that budget deficit. So the one thing this guy needs to do is say, stop expenditure. I don't want those roads and those things wait. Let us put food on the table. Yes, let's provide water. Let's provide medicine. Let us deal school fees. People can pay school fees. He can. If he does that, then he can raise his 50 billion for the Hustlers Fund. He can do all those little things. But if he says, I want to complete Big Four, which he's been saying, he's going to be in a doldrums. I can tell you that.
But yes, I agree with what you're saying. But have we not complained to the point of getting hoarse that the problem may not even be, yes, the projects are an issue, but it's what they eventually cost us.
Inflated.
Yes, and also what we call crony economics and just crony politics, where you have people around you and there is this incessant need to have them benefit from the system. And we know what that amounts to. So even with those good intentions, the moment you throw this in, the money may even be collected, but where on earth does it go to? Yes.
Yeah, we need a government. What you're saying is we need properly functioning government, not a crony state.
Yes.
What we have seen in the last few years of this administration is dysfunctional, totally dysfunctional.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the last 5 years. You had government that was pulling in different directions. So with the deputy and some team on one side, and The whole 5 years spent on fighting, I mean, that's not running
I
a
hope
government.
it will never happen again.
That's so. We need a government that runs, not a government that's there to serve an individual. Kibaki said, government is not there to serve. I mean, people are not there to serve government. It is government that is there to serve the people. I think if he does not bring back that culture of government, an efficient system running, he can say all the big words, but we'll be, after 5 years, back to where we were.
Has he ever said anything that would show you that he's actually going to do that?
Not what he said as much as what I know about the gentleman. I work with all these guys. I work with all these guys. But let me tell you, he's a worker. He's different. His style is completely different from this gentleman. And he's a guy who wants to get things done. And he can be impatient if you don't get things done. And he wants to be seen to succeed. He's not a guy who wants to fail. Just take it in stride that it doesn't matter what you call him. Who you can call him until he left the social media. You guys were calling him everything. But a Jambazi government, or you guys used to run things. But I don't think this guy is sensitive to those things. And so I would think he would be different in terms of his the way he would run his government. But that does not mean we don't need that accountability. We still need accountability. We need oversight. We need more pressure. In this country we have survived because of all that noise. The media, the parliament. The last few years, media went into bed. The government, parliament went into bed with the executive. Everybody went aboard.
Now it's like everyone will go to bed. Even judiciary might go to bed. But then what we need to ask ourselves is just one.
The size of the bed.
No.
Okay.
If the president himself would wish to reorganize government, the first thing he has to do is, if you're a policeman, go back to your work. If you are a DCI guy, go back to DCI. If you are a military guy, go back to the military and do your work within the arms that you work in. And so now you reorganize back the civil service, which is also in a lot of dysfunctional. Why? Because of you just carry someone from this side, you bring to lead, and what they normally do, they won't talk, but they will just sabotage you slowly by slowly. You'll have endless meetings every day. People are explaining to you this, they go, you do the minutes. So by the time he's expecting you to perform, you have been in 3 months meetings. You have never gotten the answers of what you want. So I've realized in Kenya, by the way, these institutions are not, it's not government, it's me. If I want my ministry to function, it will function. It will function and we will deliver. Why? First of all, you have to be very, very, you must understand your people, understand the team. Learn how to appreciate that team. You are strict, yes. You want you want to ensure you deliver, but learn this team and accommodate this team. And then from there, even if you work in any office, people will appreciate. When I went to public service as a CAS, I felt very unfortunate to hear. You walk in and people say, at your level, which is not really a level. I mean, you at CAS, it is the first time you have come to our offices. So I asked, what do you mean? How do these other ones work? How did even a CS work without knowing where your people are? And they are scattered all over. So you're in that office, I don't know, at Posta, another one is I don't know where. When you enter the office, you want, how will these people deliver even for Kenyans? First of all, the office, nobody cares. So you have a lavish office. It has everything. But your staff are in hell. You'd rather have a small one and have your staff having good offices because they are the ones who are thinking, they're the ones who are doing the technical work, paperwork, everything. And so if we don't, I say to myself, here, at the civil servants have refused to perform. They will. Because they reached a level where we decided to work with our cronies. So you come, you find someone who has worked in civil service for 30 years. He has all that experience. You are becoming their boss and you have zero experience. So you are coming in and they have to explain to you everything. But you are their boss. I said, no, we have to stop that. There must be a level where civil service has to go as civil service.
Yeah.
And they knew very well their last stop was public service, was permanent secretary, a PS. So leave it to them that way.
Let them
Create
grow
other
up.
advisory arms where you put in these politicians to advise you politically. This is not happening on the ground. This is happening, whatever you want. But let this civil service work as it is. And don't bring people, because now these ones are incompetent. Yet they are not incompetent. It's only that they decided, after all, I'm doing 10 papers. My CS arrives to the president and says, Your Excellency, my ministry has done. You don't even appreciate. You don't even say there was a team
that worked on this.
And so they decided. That's why now you bring in the military. You say that now the military will perform. Because you have killed yourself, the spirit of these ones who used to perform.
Our time is up. Our time is up. It's coming up to 10 o'clock. Thank you very much, Waheshimiwa, for joining us today. Come again, now that we begin this new journey of the fifth administration. So we'll be looking at what they promised, what they're delivering, and what they're not delivering. Waheshimiwa Bill Okero is a former senator for Mandera, and Beatrice Elachi is the newly minted member of parliament for Dagoretti North constituency. Been here with us. Have a lovely day as we watch what's happening in Kasarani. See you again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.
Thank you.
Spice up your life